of dragon's blood wouldn't do us any harm. A drop of dragon's blood wouldn't do us any harm. A drop of dragon's blood wouldn't do us any harm. 'Cause it's D&D game time. Oh, we'll roll the old dice and sing a song. We'll roll the old dice and sing a song. We'll roll the old dice and sing a song. 'Cause it's D&D game time.
Oh, a bottle of rum won't do us any harm. A bottle of rum won't do us any harm. A bottle of rum won't do us any harm. 'Cause it's D&D game time.
Oh, we'll roll the old dice and sing a song. We'll roll the old dice and sing a song. We'll roll the old dice and sing a song. 'Cause it's D&D game time.
Oh, there's ghosts in the sea and dead men in the sand. Old Saltmarsh sleeps while its enemies plan. Best batten down your hatches, there's a storm near at hand.
We should have stayed on land. Oh, we'll roll the old dice and sing a song. We'll roll the old dice and sing a song. We'll roll the old dice and sing a song. 'Cause it's D&D game time.
Previously on Missed Opportunities. After an intense battle with shape-shifting spiders, a mysterious mask seemed to animate itself, then deliver a cryptic message, seemingly having to do with the Thalassic League and the group's efforts to thwart it. The crew of Pixie's Fury continued their quest then to make themselves ready for the Grand Masquerade. At the advice of a tabaxi foreigner, they visited 3 odd gables, a picturesque little trio of houses where they met a trio of sisters, both wise and kind, who promised to help them attend the ball. They asked only a small favor in return. Before midnight, the night of the ball, they must steal back a brooch from a young woman named Danielle Marceau, who would be attending the ball. They must do so before the clock strikes midnight. Later, after the group investigated the strange poem recited to them by the mask, they found a man in restraints in a dark room within the Phlegethon Sanitarium, which is the central hospital and center of medical learning in Dementlieu. This man claimed to be Dominic D'Honaire, the true heir to Dementlieu, and he offered them help. His only condition? That they help kill his sister, Duchess Saidra D'Honaire, the de facto ruler of the realm. As we resume our episode, you have just been given this ultimatum by Dominic D'Honaire, and he lays down restrained to a table. The room around you is painted almost entirely black. And aside from some noises that echo up the spiral staircase at the end of the hall, it is very quiet over here, except for the ticking of a tall grandfather clock, also stationed. Pendulum swings back and forth. Its clock is somewhat unnerving. Before you, again, is this man. You can only see his mouth, as most of his head is obscured by a large metallic helmet, which has been placed off of him. It looks almost fused to him. There are mechanical joints that are obvious. You can see screws, you can see gears. This is a device of some kind of clockwork origin, but it is incredibly complex. There is no obvious way to remove it or unlock it. You have removed the mask and the gag, which was simply a rag and then a leather strap joined to the back of his neck. And he has been very grateful and told you that he can help you.
One
The last
point
things he said to you, sir, go ahead.
I'm trying to remember. I'm sort of remembering a detail from the last time. That his manacles, were particularly ornate. Is that correct? And that he said that his sister had the key, or did I like dream that? Maybe I dreamed that.
Don't think I described the manacles.
Okay. Maybe
But
not.
they do look very sturdy, along with the helm that he's wearing,
Okay. Gotcha.
which does completely block his sight, by the way. You are unable to see any of his face except just a small area where his mouth is. It looks like it's even hard for him to fully open his mouth. Just that sort of leather strap that you could pull away to allow him to speak. He is sorry, if totally lost my train of thought there. So he's been very grateful that you have sort of flexing his jaw, and he has said the only way he can help you, the only way that you are going to be able to break this curse on Saltmarsh, he can help you do it, but he needs to be restored to his rightful place. And that means deposing and destroying Saidra D'Honaire.
Oh. Well, that's casual.
So where can we find her? She'll be at the ball, right?
Yes, I've heard that she holds these things. Absolutely.
Does she have any, I don't know, special abilities, things that we should know ahead of time before we walk into a possible death trappy situation kind of thing?
I have not been back to my rightful manor since she deposed me, nor have I seen her since that night. I have heard rumors of she can reduce you to the basest thing. Are offensive to her. I don't really know what that means.
Okay.
I would be careful around her. Her power in this place is absolute. As you can tell, he kind of clenches his jaw and says that with resentment.
So we're not just gonna chuck Prion and Saran at her. Got it.
No, especially not surrounded by the rest of the guests. I believe I know how to defeat her. But
What is she?
first,
What is she? Is she a vampire? Or something else?
she is the Duchess of Dementlier. And such. Well, whether she changed this realm or this realm changed her, I cannot say.
And
Her pretense lends her enormous power.
you're,
That is all I know.
you're absolutely sure we have to kill her? I mean, there's no reasoning with her, or
Oh yes, you will kill her.
have you tried talking
If you want
to
to
her?
leave this place.
Oh,
Well, there's no return trip without her dead.
Not to my knowledge.
We have a boat. We can just sail away.
Yeah, we'll just sail away.
You can try.
Could be one of those things where we try to sail and the distance just keeps being farther and farther and farther away.
Have you ever taken a walk in the countryside?
No.
Rarely.
Try it. See what happens.
Here?
I do not know what Saidra is, but I know she must be undone. And I know how to do it, I think.
Can I
First,
tell if he
need you
does
to
know what
remove
she
this
is?
thing from my head. Do not know. No.
Can I tell if he's lying?
Yeah, can we do an insight on him?
Sure.
Oh, that just went over a natural 20. 15.
Random initiative roll. Someone's fighting somewhere.
She's always fighting. Nene's
Damn,
always
Melvin.
fighting somebody somewhere.
I have a 20 on that insight.
Melvin, Prion, about his not knowing Saidra D'Honaire's true nature, and about the fact you cannot leave and rest. You feel he is being forthright.
So, if we have to kill her, how do we do it? You said you know of a way?
I do. And he said, the secret to her power. And you can hear this clicking sound. And you see just a bit of blood run down his shirt collar.
Can you write it down? Will that stop your pain?
Get me out of this thing. Then I will end your curse on your town. I will end. But I can only speak so much of this before the machine lest the machine take too much of a toll. You need to. And then you see hear again a click, 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 click.
Can we remove him from the machine?
And another bit of blood runs down his chest. And then you hear the tick, tick, tick of the clock behind him. What time is it? What does the clock say?
What time does the clock say?
And as you turn around, I know you don't have this information. It
For
says
full
about,
insight.
it says about the clock is very nearing 5 o'clock p.m. 1700. And once you relay this information to him, he says, they'll be along with my food soon. But first, you need to re-gag me, leave me here, or she will know. And he kind of clenches his jaw for a moment. Find me. Find me. I turn my head, and you may go where you want. I turn it again, you will stay till you rot. I have no face, but many live or die at the whim of my crooked teeth. And you hear again a sound as the device. You can now see blades that are kind of slowly closing in on his neck at the moment.
Yeah.
Don't like.
Nene, she's fast. Can you gag him really
Let's
fast?
get the gag
I'd
on
make
and-
too much
I
noise.
I can I can regag him and bind him again.
You're fast and quiet. So.
I'll step towards him and start to regag and put all of his bandages back, or his bindings back in place.
Thank you. You'll need to find, eventually, before you free me, a replacement. Someone of my build. They won't be in here long, I promise it. You see that his head kind of turns towards you, Inaris. I suggest you be very careful replacing these. Do not trip anything. Please make a wisdom saving throw, Inaris.
Oh Lord.
Oh my god.
Funny shit,
Hot
guidance.
dice, hot dice, hot.
Ooh, that's a 19.
Yay!
I was like, guidance?
So we're going to be careful already. His words seemed to echo back and forth in your mind a little bit. Sort of throwing off your sense of autonomy for just a moment. You fall into the rhythm of his speech and you just start to do just exactly as he says, but then it just breaks for a moment and you realize that something about what he was doing was, his words were magical. Melvin, and well, actually, any of you who cast spells would notice looking at their no, his hands are bound underneath the restraints, even in iron gloves. He would have no way of using any sort of I'm being silly here because the something real quick before I make a fool of myself. Yes, so he would have no way of using another component to cast a spell, yet it seemed almost as if his very words were compulsory to you. Daenerys.
Don't try any tricks.
My apologies. Desperation makes unwise decisions at times.
Understood.
And he opens his mouth for you to replace the gag.
Understood, but also we're helping you. And she will take the gag and shove it a bit more roughly into his mouth and shake him as she's tying him up. Don't do that again.
Okay, another little bit of blood trickles down his chest as you sort of jostle the contraption. Make a sleight of hand check to replace.
At first, I felt bad for him, but he seems kind of like a poop.
So you expertly are able to replace and refasten the gag to him, and at that point, whoever has, I believe you had someone on watch at the end of the hall. I believe that was Mariah. You hear a sort of clinking sound, and soon enough you see what appears to be a nurse, sort of orderly, walking up with a tray of food in hand.
So walking up and gonna get to the top of the hall before they're all done in there?
You see them starting to, crest the corner, walking up the hallway, just as they're finishing up down the hall.
Okay. I'm going to walk down towards them and just very friendly say, hey, I think I got a little turned around in here. Can you give me directions back down to the entrance?
Make a deception check.
Okay. On the crack and die.
Lie your heart out.
29.
Crack and dice.
He's loving it.
So they take you down to the main floor, and they kind of point in a direction, and you're like, wait, where? And they're like, the door's over there. And there? No. So you're with that immense roll, you are able to sort of feign an absolute inability to discern any sort of direction and make them walk you all the way to the front door. And then you see them turning around and heading up. So you hear Mariah, those of you in the black room behind the black door. You hear the, excuse me, I'm a bit lost. Can you show? And this kind of echoes through this hallway past the many colored doors. And you have maybe a few moments to finish up here. And if you're going to do anything else, but if not, you can descend and meet up with her.
Okay. I cast Fireball. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Classic.
Get out of here before we get caught.
We need to relock the door on our way out.
I should probably start, I don't know, going down I just don't want to make a lot of noise, and I'm so loud.
Well, we're not sneaking around anyway, are we?
No.
No.
So you're fine.
We were allowed to be around here.
Right, we
Yeah,
just
we
weren't
just-
allowed to be in that room.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so let's get out of the room.
I'm out of the room.
She's already down the hall.
We're shouting down the hall at each other. Got it.
I'm out of the room!
And Eris, can you relock the door?
Yes. She'll turn around and pull the door to and relock it.
Okay. You completed the sleight of hand check before to unlock it. Relocking it is a fairly simple procedure, especially this is not a complicated lock. It was not a stroke of luck that allowed you to open it, but so now that it is, you have the mechanism to do so, you can click it shut pretty easily. So the black door is locked. You can hear behind it the soft shifting of a restrained body upon a table and the ever clicking pendulum of the black grandfather clock inside. You go past on this floor. You can't hear anything behind any of the other doors, but they are many different colors. One of them you see at the end of the hall, there's a blue one, a purple door, green, orange, white, violet. And the last one that you went through is painted entirely black. Leaving this strange place. What's that?
I
Nothing.
see a red door and I want to paint it black.
Paint it black.
Bardic inspiration for the bard.
For me!
Back to
For
the main
us.
floor. You all are guests. The orderlies, nurses, doctors, and such buzz around the main lobby, paying you no heed at the moment.
Awesome. Let's get out of here.
Run.
Yeah, we
Back
need.
Where
the boat.
to?
Gotta get all pretty for the party.
Party! Party. Party.
All right, you know you have maybe a few hours before you get
Oh, it's
there.
still a few hours. Jeez, late start.
It
So
is
it's just
enough
just
time to get
5
ready.
p.m. No respectable
Shut
masquerade begins before sundown. Let's be real.
Yes. And Mariah's
That is-
got a pregame, so.
I already
I'm
started.
gonna. She's gonna be pre-gaming all day, and the rest of us have to go paint our faces on.
There's no game. It's
just
they're
pre.
all-
It's just
yeah.
pre-ing.
So
Yes.
say all day.
She's a pro at pre. Got it.
Just pre on.
Whoa. Ooh.
Wink.
Not my area.
Oh my god, I
Okay.
knew it! I knew it!
Yay!
Oh,
Yay!
sweet
Yay!
fuck.
All right, so we're going back to the ship.
I'm 2 for 2 on gay characters, and y'all keep doing this shit.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's
okay.
right.
You know what? I'm pretty sure I remember you being straight in Strahd because you had that
No.
one specific lover that we all knew about.
Oh
No,
wait,
no, no.
yes. Yes.
Yes.
Oh, right. Whatever his face was.
Victor?
Whatever his face.
That's right, little Vicky.
It's Victor and Otto.
In a sort of strange mood that Mariah has no idea where it came from. She's just gonna walk back to the boat and find a bottle.
Like, fuck this,
Why do I
hate
want to drink? There's nothing
In
to
a
do
past
with
life,
us.
I was very irritated by all the people around me.
I feel it happening again. I'm getting this weird sense of deja vu.
To the ship.
So
Okay.
back to the ship. Yeah.
To the ship.
Back to the sea, or back to Pixie's Fury.
life.
There it is, parked, moored at the docks of Dementlier.
Parked.
Parked.
Parking brake.
He did a little 3/4 back end deal.
Oh,
yeah.
It was good.
Beep.
I'm the best captain.
Let's see you parallel park it then.
Most humble too.
Hey, you know.
Hey, we drifted
All right,
it, power
true.
drifted into Saltmarsh docks at one point, remember?
Saltmarsh
So-
drift.
True.
Like how?
That was,
Yeah, could you Saltmarsh Drift. It's a great
Yeah.
movie.
Best of the franchise.
As soon as the motor gets invented, there's going to be speedboat racing in Saltmarsh.
And you know our motor's gonna be loud.
I don't want to
So
talk
what do
about
we do
your
on the
motor.
ship?
We get dressed.
And we get drunk.
Maybe we could discuss our plan. That might be a good idea.
Oh, right. So, okay, so it sounds like we shouldn't go for Saidra
Ahead.
during
Yeah.
the party.
Yeah.
We should try to get her out of there. Maybe if we can get her somewhere else, or try to stick around once the party's over. Although that's going to be at midnight, and we need to get the brooch out of there before midnight, so that's complicated.
Well, we can leave and come back, right? So
yeah,
if we
do we
the
get
brooch
stamped
out of
when we
there-
go in? And we can enter
Yeah.
if our hand's been stamped.
What's the re-entry situation?
Oh yeah, do we just
Like
pay
a
a cover
bracelet?
charge or?
Yeah.
You
Like, this
guys
is an
think you're
actual
going
question,
clubbing
but,
or
like-
something. Yeah, nice.
Thanks. I know. We're going to Cotton Eye Joe's, okay?
Sweet fucker.
Where did it go? Where did it go?
Oh.
Yes.
But yeah,
Well, we need to
we
get the brooch
had-
first.
Can we?
And
Yeah, we have
in
to
case
get
it
the
was not completely communicated, Dominic communicated to you that he knows the way to defeat her, but he suggests you free him so he can tell you the way before you try it.
Oh, the rhyme that he said wasn't the way to defeat her?
No,
Wasn't
he
that
was
the way to free him?
Yes,
Oh.
which he was struggling to say,
Does
so
his
he
sister
sent you a little riddle.
have crooked teeth?
Nothing is as it seems in Dementlier, and it seems that he could not directly say the way to free him. So he
Okay.
had
So we
to
can-
speak his way around it, though it was nonetheless painful to him.
Do we get his sister Invisalign? Is that? She's
So-
crooked teeth?
Only
Do
if we
you
have a
have
high-level
that,
artificer.
Okay, so while we're at the party, we should get the brooch
Yeah.
and at minimum try to scout out the castle and what Cedric sort of seems to be about. We sort of gauge our quarry.
Yes.
Well, and
Something
we
along
could,
those lines.
and we could make sure that we get everything we need to free him. Dominic.
Yes, there might be bits and bobs involved. with that.
Okay.
I think there's just going to be one.
Okay, pick bit or bob, whatever.
Fair.
And so this is entirely a flavor question.
But how fancy do we have to look? Like our fanciest?
So, yes.
Wearing
I
my
think
dope
but
ass
over
practice
outfit, so
riddle
yes.
first.
Over the-
So it's a key. I'm sorry for interrupting you, DM. My brain only works in short spurts.
That's fine.
the riddle. It's a key,
Well,
right?
yeah.
We have
Yeah.
to find his key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I'm
what
really
it meant by
excited that
tea.
I figured it out. I'm sorry, guys.
I thought it was actual tea.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was so happy.
No, it was meant to be. It was not meant to be languished over.
Yay! I got an easy puzzle.
No. I just thought it was a cool one, so
I love it. It's awesome. I got it.
So where do we find this key?
Well, if I were a woman who had deposed her brother and stolen his position and power and had all sorts of influence over people, and he was the one thing that would make everything get fucked up, I would probably keep it on my person at all times.
Yes.
I second that.
It's very wise.
Or somewhere that is especially super duper safe, which she would know where it is.
I mean, I'm sure she would have it somewhere where she could access it immediately, which would definitely be on her person.
We'll have to kill her to get the key.
No.
That's not a problem.
I mean, we have to
Okay,
kill
we
her
don't have
anyway.
We
No,
don't have
but
to
I
get just
think the
yet.
I think key free Dominic tells us how to kill her is the idea.
How long is this party? Are we supposed to kill her at the party? This just seems
No.
like... Oh,
No.
oh, sorry. I just thought we were trying to, one and done. Many birds, one stone.
No.
I
No.
think if we try to do this in front of people, we're like royally fucked.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool.
So brooch.
So- Brooch
and key.
and brooch and key location. See if
Yeah.
it's something that we can come back and get later.
Sounds fine to
Brooch
me.
primary.
Or if we can just
chug.
get it while we're there, that would work too.
Yes.
If
But
they
brooch
notice
first,
the
I think.
brooch is missing, and we're also missing, will that not immediately make us suspect?
Well, I mean, I don't think that all of us are going to be able to get the brooch. I mean, so
I don't-
couldn't just one person be the one to get the brooch? Well, maybe I'm really good with people, so I could be talking to somebody and, Nene could go and grab the brooch. Or...
So do you want to be on Danielle watch?
Yeah, I'm very used to talking to mean rich girls, so...
Okay. Saray and decoy.
Okay.
Interesting.
So I guess that means that the rest of us need to figure out where the key is and how to get it, right?
Well, Melvin and I can probably figure out where various magical protections and other things like that exist.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I should basically scout around, see if there's anything that's interesting.
I still think it's going to be on her, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's jewelry or part of her outfit.
Yeah.
But she
We
could
could
have
always
masked
just
it
try to
with
convince
magic.
her to give it to us.
But then she'll know that we know.
Well, yeah, but then she'll die, right?
But
So
not
it won't
not
really
at that.
matter.
But not at that moment, right? So we say,
Oh, if worst
hey,
comes to worst, I'll talk to her.
give me the key. Yes. Please do well.
That seems reasonable.
So then what
Right.
are Prion and I doing?
If shit hits the fan, please, oh please save us.
And otherwise, just enjoy the party, I guess?
I don't know.
That
Do
I
you
can
feel
do.
like you also want to talk to Danielle with me?
I can certainly help if you don't think you'll be sufficient as a decoy.
It's about sufficiency as much as their strength
Or,
and numbers.
Okay, we could work together and I could teach you stuff. You could take notes because you're very good at taking notes.
I'm also good at talking to people. people.
Yes, you are, but like Nene and I, we're already a decoy and
This is
Master
very
thief.
much in character.
Wait,
this
what?
is absolutely 110% in character. I don't know
Wait,
why I just said
okay.
that. That's weird.
Wait, so
Yes,
are we both talking to Danielle then?
absolutely.
Great.
Sure.
Then what's Prion doing?
Prion's gonna be Prion.
Maybe
Prion's going to dance with people and just generally make sure that nothing goes horribly wrong.
I mean,
maybe Prion can dance with Saidra.
oh, you're pretty studly, Prion. I think she could get away with it.
Especially with that new cape that you just found for your armor.
Yeah, your eyes are really, really blue.
It's like the ocean or something.
Yeah.
Aye. Just like the ocean. Really good at talking to people.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have time to go get ready? I'm a little bit worried about. I mean, people are going to make fun of me regardless, but I'm just like, worried about.
Think about it as cultural exchange, Sarayan. You're educating these people about your homeland.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the whole reason I'm here.
Exactly.
I thought you were the one doing the learning, though, on your
Well-
pilgrimage.
It's a little bit of both. Okay.
Awesome.
Sarayan starts to head down to her area to get ready.
DM,
Do you need?
were we given physical invitations for this party?
We
Yes.
were.
Can I take a look at them? I want to see if there's any fine print or other stipulations on the invitation itself.
Classic
Yeah. So looking over it, there's no fine print. Though it does specify, I don't have the exact wording, but it does specify that this is a event of the sort of highest social caliber. So there are, the Dementlieu's version of white tie required is kind of there. So it
Is there any
essentially-
indication that weapons or magic are prohibited?
It doesn't make any specific mention of that. No.
Cat tell us that he got in a duel at the party.
Yeah, he
Kat
mentioned
did say
something
something
about
about that. Yeah.
if you can believe it.
I can. He may have embellished a bit, but I don't know. I feel like
Didn't he say he fought a duel because of it had
Saidra,
something to do with
Lady in Red,
partnering
yes.
with Saidra. Yeah.
Yeah, he got some dance with her, and someone else was pissy about it and whatnot. I mean, I bet that she likes it when people duel for her honor and shit like that. So,
Oh, I believe it.
Poor Dick.
You all may get
Come
ready.
from- Where'd you go?
It will,
Yay!
Montage.
I don't know how long it takes each of you to fully prepare for a grand masquerade, but
20 hours.
consider that time passing, and if there's anything else you'd like to do before you prepare, let me know. Otherwise, we will start heading in that direction.
I have one thing that I would like to do. So, as soon
Can't wait to hear it.
I'm sure you can. As soon as Mariah and everyone are like, okay, break, Sarayan immediately goes down to her quarters and begins to pull out the things that she has brought with her. And so what she had worn getting off the boat was not the entire ensemble. So she starts to try to put on her undergarments, corseting and all the ruffles and big hoops, because she's gonna look real like Cinderella at the ball, but fish style. But so she's trying to get all this on, and at some point you hear the clomp, 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 clomp. And she comes back up on the deck and is like, help!
I'll go help her. Oh my god.
And when you approach, you see, like, haphazardly, like, just horrible job trying to get corseted. Like, there's, like, the what's the thing that goes on the hips that's long and kind of, like, big? The name doesn't even remember.
Don't remember.
Either way, it's just, yes, well, it's like it's
Like the hoop
lying
skirt?
askew. Yes, like the hoops
Okay.
are like lying askew, and like she can't get her arm through the sleeve because nothing has been put on right. She's like, I need help.
I very, very quickly just sigh, walk over and start unlacing all the stuff that you've fucked up and start straightening everything out. Oh, shut up. It's like literally right there. And very, very deftly pull all the ties and resituate them with sort of uncanny precision.
There is-
You've done a quick
it's
changer too
nice.
in your life.
There is this sort of odd, dichotomy between, you see some of your crew members, both male and female, as they're working about. None of them are disembarking and going into Dementlia's society. So, they're in their sea garb, and some of them are wearing, like, much less than just the outer undergarments of Sarayan's, like, garb. So it's this weird thing between, like, oh my gosh, I'm so exposed, and this giant dress that is just the dress that goes under the main dress. And so
Exactly.
I just kind of imagine that, like, it's like all they can see is a ton of cloth, and it's just like, oh my gosh, no. It's like,
She's like fully clothed, and she's like,
that's
no.
the dress that goes over the dress that goes under that dress, over which another dress goes. It's
Indeed.
not embarrassing anywhere except very manufactured strange society, but there you go.
Indeed.
Do you need any more help, or are you good?
And so Sarayan kind of peeks over the side of the ship, hoping to be able to catch her reflection in the waves, because she wants to make sure that her hair is in order, and it looks horrid. So she kind of just like picks it up. I'm imagining it's like very lank. And can you
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I
Yeah.
will start putting it up, and again.
But also help?
Yeah. This is a lot.
Thank you. Wait.
so then she just waits.
Just hold still.
Okay.
Just hold still. We'll fix it.
I just imagine it like Kaylee and Firefly.
Yeah.
With that big ass pink dress.
Yes.
Yep.
You're not wrong.
Pull your hair
Okay.
into some beautiful updo that like goes with the like line of your ears, and it's got like braids and like little bits and
Oh my God,
bobs.
I love it.
So, okay.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
And Sarayan will then head down because she feels at least confident enough to put on her jewels and other adornments in her hair.
Don't
And-
touch your hair.
Wait. No, I need help getting into the real dress.
Okay,
So
I'll
she just
I'll
asked
take
someone
it
to help
this
her.
time.
I'm gonna let you take this one, please. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Dude, that's done.
And
So-
I won't
I
wear my boots.
A few
Great.
hours pass, I guess.
Many days pass.
Days later.
Just quickly, we've got a hype train going.
Oh, hey.
We're nearly level 4 already. We'll do the shout out of all the people that have gifted and stuff, guys. Right, once it's finished.
Well,
Massive
that's
thank you to
wonderful.
everyone.
Thank you all for
If
this.
we hit a level 4, that's $25 gift card. If we hit level 5, that's $50. So massive
Wowzers.
thank you to you.
Wowzers.
Wowza. Yeah, so Sarayan will get into her garb with the help of Tilly's.
While this is
Alright.
all going on, DM, Melvin would like to take a look at the robes. And what
Okay.
kind of a design is there on those robes? If there is one.
Yeah, so they are they're like a intense white color. But then there are many different colored threads that sort of are woven in at times, and you see symbols, sort of weaving their way down to the different cuffs, arcane symbols, arcane drawings, and you see different patterns on the trim that it seemed to indicate every different school of magic at times. There is in fact a time when it is embroidered in such a fashion that a string of arcane symbols, they all merge together and then just become white, as if the white robe is the culmination of all the colors shining together, and it's just this blinding brightness, like sunlight.
In that case, would you allow me to ritually cast illusory script in order to make some of those symbols sort of appear to float above the surface of the fabric, just barely, as just a visual effect?
Sure, that's cool. Yeah.
Cool. So I'll spend the components for that, and I'll pick out some individual magical symbols to make pop out a little bit.
That sounds very cool. All right. Anyone else?
I will merely note that when everyone is finally gathered and we are heading off, I just kind of look at everyone and be like, don't die, okay? Nothing stupid unless absolutely necessary.
Reasonable request.
So I'm not wearing my boots. But should I bring my weapons?
I mean,
Do you think they'll let us have weapons?
Yeah, that's
No.
my question. No. Okay.
well,
So
I'm
Serene-
not taking the sword that they gave me, so kind of
I would hide
completes
it.
the ensemble, and the whole thing is like a little vaguely militaristic, and so like the sword sort of vibes.
So Serene, if you want, I have this other bag of holding. We could put weapons in there.
That would be awesome. Also, is Wade
long enough that I could kind of use the trident, but as like a scepter almost.
Wave is
Yep.
most certainly a weapon. Unmistakably.
You would not
Even if
Martial.
I
hurt a
carried it like a
Triton with
like
her
like
walking stick.
Exactly. You would not.
It's just for
You
decoration.
hear as you're sort of considering this, you hear a voice in your mind. It's just kind of humming along this little tune, and then it kind of, as your mind starts to come towards using it as a walking stick, it says, Sarayan, I will leave you if you do that to me.
But I can't.
Oh my god.
I can't wear you on my back.
You may carry me as a weapon. I will not be a walking stick.
In a bag. It's cozy in there.
No. Display me in a position of honor, or pass me to one who will wear me with pride.
Like a scepter. Queens have scepters. Come on, Wade.
I am a weapon of the sea gods, and will be represented as such. Nothing else.
Guys,
Sarayan?
I have to wear Wade. Yes.
Well, I can't hear what was going on with that whole
So
thing.
it's just like talking to herself.
Yeah. But while you were debating with yourself, why don't you just tell people that it's, a custom underwater?
Oh my gosh, that's really smart.
Yeah, and while
I
you're there, you
know.
can proselytize to the entire rich population.
It's
What
true.
better
I
way to
already
garner
planned
support
on
for your
doing-
god?
I had already planned
Well,
on
this will
doing
be
that.
this will be great. Now you can say, hey, you know, we also have this thing, and by the way, I'm not going to kill you with it because it's a cultural thing, and I have it with me at all times.
Yeah, don't be xenophobic.
Well, don't add that part because they are.
Oh, okay.
Don't mention it, but just say, you know.
Anyway. I'm gone. I'm gone.
I know. I feel like Mariah's like out the door half the time we're talking.
Anyway,
So
we
far gone.
completed a level 3 hype train. Massive thank you for Crypt for the resub, Chelsea for 1 gifted sub, Pingu for 100 bits, Snake Spinner for 5 gifted subs, Striker
Wow.
Dan for resubbing and gifting a sub, and Anonymous for 5 gifted subs. Thank you very much. That's a level 3 hype train, so that's $15 at the end. And on top of that, also, Striker
What, did
Dan
mine not go
redeemed a D6 inspiration for 300 gold. So,
Also, you missed Jade77 resubbing with Prime.
oh yeah, and
Wow.
I resub with my
Whoop
friend.
whoop.
Yes.
So we're doing. How are we divvying this out?
I've already got inspiration, so
I also already have inspiration.
I think we all have it from the end of last session, in
Yeah.
which people were
Yeah.
incredibly generous. So
I thought that might have been a mistake, so I turned it off, but I'll turn it back
no,
on.
everyone had it.
Ooh.
You used yours, did you?
Yeah.
So you could probably just do a D20, D6s for the rest
Yeah.
of us, and a healing potion or something.
how many healing potions do you have right now?
I don't know actually.
Never have enough.
I don't have any,
I think I have healing potion.
but I do have an
2.
alchemy jug.
Someone
Oh,
take
I
a
have 3.
regular healing potion. Liz, take inspiration.
Potion. I have 2 potions already.
So,
I have 4.
I don't have any.
There you go,
Serene
Mariah,
will-
take one.
Great.
Leave her longsword and javelin on the ship, but she will take one.
And the rest of us get D6s.
It's a lot. Okay, yeah, that'll be fine. We'll do it.
Before we move on, I just want to bring something to everyone's attention because I think Z is a mastermind. And Z requested that Wave get a D20 inspiration for Wave to use against Sorayan at a later date.
I'll allow it.
Yes.
Yes!
Yeah.
Alrighty then. You all are ready and on your way. You have learned that the Estate D'Honaire, the site for this grand masquerade, is in fact on an island just a short way off. And so there's a specific pier where they are readying beautiful gondolas to row the guests out. There is a little line, and as you are waiting, as you approach, you see it is all lit with lantern light, but these lanterns are sort of like paper lanterns that shed different colors, shed a beautiful contrasting light across the different costumes you see. Beautiful dresses, suits of armor, different garb, and all masked. Many of the masks with grand feathers coming out of them, as is the current fashion of the moment. And while you're there, there is a small sort of hunched over woman with a silver platter in hand who is kind of slinking back and forth, and the platter has tall stemmed glasses, each of them filled with a clear bubbling liquid as she kind of goes around. Looks like a sparkling wine of some sort. A few people in line take it, and finally this woman comes up to you. Would you like a refreshment as you wait?
Absolutely, thank you.
That's what.
Might as
What is
well,
that,
right?
please? What is
The D'Honaire Grand Reserve.
Nothing.
Yeah, I'll try that.
that? Yes, please.
There's one for you, and for you, yes. And do you all take a glass?
I think Priya
How does it
does
smell?
Just a hint of it's nice actually. Yeah, it smells like fine white sparkling wine.
Does it smell like poison?
This is kind of what I was getting at. Does it smell like death?
That's what I was like. How dead am I gonna be as soon as I take a sip?
Mine's already gone. I put the glass back on the tray.
Oh.
Dang.
Is that how you're supposed to? Is that how you're supposed to drink that?
And Saran immediately downs hers as well.
Saran, you feel it in your. It's less of a cough and more of a. There's a lot of bubbles in my stomach. You just get this pressure and need to continuously burp. Most of
What,
you
Saran? I thought that you knew
never
how these
chug
things were
champagne, by
supposed
the
to
way.
work.
It's a terrible idea.
Wait,
It's a very bad idea.
that was really good. Can I get one more?
No. I'm
another
just gonna.
one.
No. Can I take that?
I must take care of the rest of the line. The honored guests will be patient, if you please. And as she continues to walk on, you get you kind of. Talise, as you're smelling it, you smell nice little odor of this wine. It's a nice aroma, and then you do get an actual odor, which is this kind of sickly, sweet, kind of awful smell coming from this woman who is serving the champagne. It's not long before she comes back again with another set of glasses for whoever wants to take them. There seems to be a good supply of wine for any who will take it. Okay.
Saran, you're okay. You don't need that right now. Why don't you save some room? No, save some room for all the great things.
Wait.
Did she just hiss at you?
God, what a wino. God.
When she
God, I thought I was bad.
When she hisses, her ears go out to the side like a puffer.
Like the little dinosaur from Jurassic Park?
Yeah, pretty much.
This
But I
is-
imagine her more like a puffer.
This is what I get for helping you get dressed. You're welcome.
Wave says, "You are less inhibited. You should have more.
Oh,
And speak of the sea gods freely."
Sounds good.
Saran throws back
Saran.
another.
Did you bring your armor?
I did not bring my armor. And this
It's a
will
good
be
thing you
some-
brought me. There may be clerics of other deities there that you will need to fight.
Well, okay, so I didn't bring my armor, but what I was going to ask, and this is a Peter yes or no sort of situation, is that I imagine that she would have some sort of like piece of her dress, like even like the bodice, that was kind of like a netting, but like a high quality, almost like mithril. Sort of
Are you
thing.
asking for Kevlar?
A little bit. I'm asking for Kevlar. But that's your decision.
but
I
make it
imagine she might
fashion.
have packed it. Kevlar, but fashion.
Oh, it's couture.
So
Kevlar.
that is unfortunately going to be a negative on that.
Negatory, Captain.
Alright.
It is
Okay,
a.
so then I'm not wearing any armor, which means my AC is like 9. Which is also just...
Most of your companions are the same way, I believe. So.
Okay, cool. And
I
so-
don't wear armor to begin with. Or actually, I wear like baby armor.
Fully
That's okay.
armored.
What?
Fully armored.
I have armor anyway.
Prion kind of being the only one. As you all are dressed in finery. And soon enough, your turn comes up and you are, ushered to this grand gondola with a bow and a stern, which are these beautiful sort of curling designs from the wood, and more of these sort of footmen in these red, long red coats are steering and then rowing the boat out. The ones here, you see that there are these little candles set about that give nice illumination, but also a beautiful pungent scent of sort of cinnamon and teakwood as you glide across the bay towards a grandly lit manse set upon an island.
DM.
Yeah.
Is it extremely, like, overpoweringly fragrant?
It's pretty strong. It's like, ooh, a little too much potpourri in that bathroom kind of stuff. Yeah, you know.
Like it's like somebody trying to cover up that they were just smoking something, and so they sprayed the cheap Victoria's Secret floral on.
That's a suspiciously specific.
That's very
Very
insightful, Teresa.
Okay. I grew up in Washington and I got my undergrad in Boulder, okay? I know those people.
Sorry to divert from the wonderful conversation.
Like, that was a genuine question, though? Like,
Yeah. How bad
That
is
would
it?
be, we had to go into it, but yes, that would be a way to describe it, indeed.
Skunky.
Really, really quick. Was our getting ready time the equivalent of, say, a short rest?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
you,
great.
you guys are resourced up here. That would have been, yeah.
Amazing. I'd like all my bardic inspirations for the night, please, and thank you.
Okay, understood. And you now near this island and are able to disembark on a modest but very sturdy dock. More lanterns lighting the way. These footmen indicate where you can get off. And the scent of this sort of cinnamon, these strong candles, cling to you for a moment until the sea breeze cuts across the island about halfway to this grand manor. You follow the lights along with other wealthy looking well-to-do people, and the sound of the breeze and the chaos of the city behind you begin to dissipate as the dancing music from within begins to emanate outward. You are brought to the front of this manse and the doors swing open. You are greeted by the same squat, masked footman that gave you the invitations the first time, and he asks you all, "How would you like to be announced to the Masquerade, as it is your first time arriving?"
Yes.
The esteemed crew of Pixie's Fury.
I am Serena Larinoff.
Serena Laranon and the esteemed crew of the Pixie's
Oh,
Fury.
Larinoff? How dare
Sorry,
you?
jeez, I can't hear anything.
she's already drunk, it's fine.
Also, Melvin?
And she's noticed the floating sigils above Melvin's cloak. And she has tried to put her fingers through them and realizes that, or like touch them, and she realizes her fingers can go through them.
This is so neat.
And she's just sitting there marveling.
Oh, thank you. It's just a little bit of magic.
You look
You know what?
very
Let's make this more
handsome.
theatrical.
And she boops him on the nose.
Oh, sweet Jesus. I'm going to turn to the guy and say, okay, let's make this a bit more theatrical. I'm going to start pointing. Okay. Princess Saran Eleanor. I can't pronounce your last name.
Alarina.
Alarinath.
Thank you.
Princess Saran Alarinath and the company of Archmage Melvin of Neverwinter.
Serene extends her hand.
Good job.
Hand up.
Priestess Talise of the Thunderous Powers, escorting
That's fine. We can
Queen
leave
of
it at that.
Darkness Nene.
Oh God.
That
She's
is
gonna love that now. I have to call her that now.
Sir Priyanza Namara, esteemed knight, and Captain Mariah Nairdras at your service.
All right. He turns and sort of takes from the ground this cone. It's lined with lace and looks nice, but it's really just a barely a barely upgraded Carnival Crier's horn as he yells through it. Presenting the crew of Pixie's Fury, Captain Mariah Nairdras, Queen of Darkness, Daenerys, and goes through The Honorable Knight, Sir Prion Sanamara. And then does and Archmage Melvin of Neverwinter. And you see, a bunch of little people, or not little people, a bunch of the nobility.
We're there
I
now.
said a
They're
bunch
down
of
below, they
people
look small.
make little claps is what I meant
what
to
you
say.
said.
I put
Yeah.
the I adjectived where I meant to adverb. And they all.
I imagine that you meant like little people, like you're famous.
Oh.
No, like you left
No,
behind the little
not at all.
people.
It was a word order issue. So a bunch of the nobles then make little claps towards you as you all enter this.
Can we hear him say bullshit? Bullshit. when I announce
Is the lady in red visibly present?
Make a perception check.
Perception, you say?
Perception, you say?
Perception.
22.
Let's 23.
Dang.
You all kind of gather and start looking about and know, while there are certain dresses in the area where red is a predominant color, no one here at the moment seems to match the description that you would think of as the lady in red. And as such, there are a bunch of different groups kind of all together. There are individuals milling about, but no one is really holding the center of attention at the moment.
Not yet.
Well,
Not yet.
Serene's about to proselytize.
oh, sweet lord.
I'm really
cool.
not.
I was like, I might have to leave early, guys. Bye.
I'm really not.
Well, between the two of you, you'll have, 2 different sea gods covered. So, that's something. Should make Wave happy.
Oh, the
No,
footman will
it
also
doesn't.
say, weapons only as ornaments or positions of privilege.
Yes, this is cultural.
He will defer to the captain. He will defer to the knight, the apparent knight.
I don't
though.
have any more weapons, just my shield.
Okay. Are any of you, the others, carrying obvious weapons on you?
I don't have my shield either.
Obvious
I don't have a
weapons?
shield.
No.
I have trident.
Obvious, no, but in the dress that Daenerys has, unless they're gonna upskirt her, she's got a few daggers hidden.
Who would
But
do
I
They
don't
will
think I
not
can hide my
investigate.
bow.
They will not investigate your skirt, and I don't think a bow is going to be able to be fully hidden. Not without some serious work beforehand. So hidden daggers,
Care
fine.
about Wave.
I was like, I have like
Looking at
boot
it, they will
daggers.
point at it and ask you, inquire about the weapon.
It's a cultural custom.
Make a persuasion check.
What? That wasn't so persuasive. All right, let's see. Hot dice, hot dice, hot dice.
I was like, can I whisper guidance? Can I like, whoop.
12.
Beep, boop, bop.
12.
Plus 10.
Bye, Wave.
Just because.
It will kind of squint at you and kind of shake his head and will allow you in, but you feel like perhaps you've broken a bit of etiquette tonight. You feel that this was not approved of.
Well, Wave would have left me, so what choice did I have?
And you are now amidst this crowd of
What
partygoers.
sorts of things are the partygoers doing? Like, is there a buffet? Is there dancing?
There is.
there-
So as you move in up some stairs, kind of seen, and then into the main area, there are buffet tables. There are also sort of raised areas along the sides where you see a few of the most ornately dressed and the most dignified looking guests. They are all kind of sipping on champagne glasses, eating hors d'oeuvres, speaking and gesturing down towards the dance floor and the main floor. You also know that there are lines of footmen blocking these stairs leading up to these areas, as if it's sort of the private party sort of area that gets to look down upon the regular party goers. So there's the upper area. There is a line of buffet tables, plenty of food, as well as these other footmen, all of them stooped, kind of limping around, holding up these silvered trays of food, offering to the partygoers. There are some dancing. There is also a small musical group that is playing the music that everyone is dancing to. No regular guards besides these footmen in the red coats and masks, really. I saw some hands up for questions. I see fingers on noses as I'm, yeah.
If I can do so without being noticed, I want to cast Eyes of the Grave.
Okay, what are the components for that?
Let's go to my features. It says, as an action, you know the location of any undead within 60 feet of you that isn't behind total cover, isn't protected from divination magic until the end of your turn. You
That's
can
a
use it 2
channel
times
divinity,
per long
not a
rest.
spell.
It's not a
Okay,
spell.
so you can just do that. And it's a just within how many feet of you?
60
feet. Okay. So yeah, you can just do that regularly. And as you extend that sense out, the Raven Queen gifts you her senses, and you can tell that every single one of these servants in this hall is an undead.
Okay.
Rayan was definitely going to lean over to Melvin and say,
Don't you think it's kind of odd that all of the servants they look like they've been hurted?
Soraya?
It is a little weird, I'll admit.
You guys, I'm gonna lean in. Like, so I was kind of worried about it before, because I didn't want to say anything, but there was this really like sickly sweet smell that was given off by the waitress, and it's actually why I still have my glass. I didn't drink any of it.
In the middle of your sentence, the music stops and ding, 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 a bell tolls.
Don't eat anything.
And the music stops and everyone kind of stands still for a moment in the area. And a few, the party goers, many of them raise a glass up and say, may the Duchess favor us all. And then take a little sip.
Favor us all.
I was like staring at everybody. Don't do it.
While that's happening and that attention is being brought to that clearly communal moment, I would like to take that moment briefly to step behind Priyana, who I believe is taller than me, and cast Enhance Ability for charisma skills on myself.
Okay. So you do so. Sarayan lifts her glass. Did someone else do it as well that I saw?
Rayan definitely says it like behind everybody else.
Well, yeah, we'll join in. That'll be my verbal component.
Okay. And does everyone say the words?
The Duchess? What is it? Sorry,
May the Duchess favor us all?
May the Duchess
No.
favor us all.
Something
All
like
right.
that.
Cool. All right. Eris and Talise. Everyone else who didn't, those of you who said the words, please make a wisdom saving throw.
Hilarious. I'm gonna use my inspiration.
Dragon dice.
I'm like, inspiration.
You notice then a group of eyes start to turn and look in your direction. A group of eyes, meaning a number of the partygoers all kind of are looking about as they say the words, and then you can see them do a double take as they're staring at Daenerys and at Talise.
You said wisdom?
Correct.
Okay. I'm gonna
So
use my
mine
inspo.
was a 14.
Okay.
It was like right on the Kraken, and then it tilted at the last minute to 8.
Talise and Daenerys do not need to make this throw.
Yeah, it's just us who said it.
Oh, I thought it was the ones that didn't say
I thought it was the ones that did not say it. Sorry.
Those who did.
Nope, opposite.
Oh, sorry. I'm gonna turn my inspo back on.
All right.
I'm
I've
using
got
my
some-
1d6 for that. Cool.
Understood. Prion.
Yes.
Wisdom. Saving throw.
Oh, I didn't say it. So
Oh, you didn't
never
say
mind.
it.
No, I
Okay,
didn't.
so they're also staring at you. So it was just the 3. Okay, gotcha. You all feel nothing else as the masked figures of the masquerade look at you and smile and nod, and then sort of furrow their brows and look towards you with a bit of confusion. Prion, you have committed a faux pas, you feel. You also, Sarayan, from your previous failure to adequately explain your weapon, or not sufficient explanation, you feel you've committed a faux pas, as have now Daenerys and Talise.
Are these like when you
We're
play
fine
The
with it.
Sims and you have like embarrassment for like a certain amount of time? That's what we're feeling.
I'm like,
Oh my gosh.
Maybe.
The little bag over the head icon.
debuff.
Debuff.
Didn't know the words.
True.
If
Is it a debuff? I mean, you wouldn't know. Never mind. I'm embarrassed.
is there have they gone back to their regular activities and such?
Now, yes, the music has resumed and the party resumes.
Okay. All right, guys.
I need to lean back in.
Time
No,
to-
no.
to-
We need to talk
What?
because I got cut off. Yeah. So, we were
They're
talking,
stinky.
Nene. They're very stinky. And Nene and I were kind of, we were like whispering a little because I had a weird thing, and then she did a thing, and so they're undead. Like they're dead.
The
Yeah,
Raven
that doesn't
Queen
surprise
pointed
me.
out.
Yeah. So like, I really wish you guys hadn't like had that drink because there's something really off, and it like literally stinks of undeath. And
I thought that she was the
like-
one who stank of undeath, not the champagne.
But like,
No,
why
it
would
was
you take
her.
something from, like,
Yes.
ugh.
Well,
the server
it was
stunk of
her,
shit,
like-
stunk of death. Yeah.
I'm dying
Yeah.
anyway, so who cares if it happens an hour later? And I just sort of walk off.
Lordy.
I feel sick.
As Mariah, you walk off. Immediately, you're met by a man who kind of struts up to you and gives you a bow, and says, "Ah, Captain Nerdras, is that Captain Nerdras? Pleasure to meet you. I am."
will... Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
He says, "I am Captain Olivier Roche," and bows.
Pleasure to make your acquaintance, Captain. And I also bow.
It is good to see more nautical-faring people here this evening in this place. We are the noblest and bravest to venture the oceans. And
It
he
is
bows
indeed
again.
a great profession, and I honor all those who place their life on the chance of the waves. And I return a bow.
Aha, very good, very good. And then you will continue to ask. Then he will start asking you a few questions after these two kind of formalities that are the first little bits of exchange. Mostly small talk about navigation, about nautical things, and once he's satisfied after 5 or 10 minutes, he will excuse himself. But you feel the way you've communicated just now has been acceptable.
Okay. I will kind of start mingling and then making my way out towards where people are dancing and kind of just getting the vibe of the room. Maybe engage with some people as.
Saran will grab Melvin's hand and begin to drag him to the dance floor because she wants to dance.
Come on, let's go.
Oh, Serene, I can't really dance very
That's
well,
okay.
you know?
I'll lead.
And so she takes the
okay.
position that a man would usually take.
No, your hand goes here. My hand goes on your waist. Just follow me.
Okay.
Oh no.
Interesting. So, Sarayan, you lead Melvin in this dance, yes?
Mais oui.
Interesting. Both of you, please make performance checks.
Oh, thank God, this is what I dreamed.
Are important,
This is what
but
I
the
dreamed.
confidence with which you do them is all the more important.
I'm gonna use my inspiration, D20 inspiration for this.
Okay.
Priorities.
Mine is a 17.
Okay.
Mine is a 7 on the Kraken die for a total of 6.
Sarayan, you feel good about the dance. You are selling it, but your partner in these robes is, he's not doing so well. Tripping over you, and it's all you can do to keep him on his feet on this dance floor as you swirl about, and you can see shocked and almost disapproving reactions from those around. Not towards you necessarily, Sarayan, but Melvin. You feel disapproving eyes upon you, and as this dance
That's so sad.
concludes, you see another figure walk up to you. This one in a black robe with silver and gold trim and a skull-like mask. I do not believe we have ever been graced with an archmage from Neverwinter. What was your name exactly, and which school do you belong to?
My name is Melvin Delaney, Hieronymus Windsailor. It's nice to make your acquaintance. I don't really hail from a school per se.
But you are an archmage. Who has granted you this honor?
Well, see, my master has ordered my former master, that is. I'm a relatively new archmage. You see, it's a new title for me, and I'm not really used to using it yet. I've been studying the Order of the Stargazers and sort of traveling the realms, looking for information about them actually lately. So I'm not really so much located in Neverwinter on a normal basis at this point, but I do hail from there originally.
All right, we're gonna have to start off with the deception check there.
Yep.
Boop, 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 boop.
That's an 18.
Boop. Yay, Melvin.
Wow. He
With a natural
accepts your explanation miraculously. And as you are talking with him, he introduces himself as Grand Conjurer René Lamort and becomes very interested in what you have to say. You may make a knowledge check of your choice to try to gain his approval and captivate his interest.
It's 23 for Arcana.
Cool. He is very interested and invites you if you would like to join him in the viewing area, the upper boxes, at your leisure, and then bows and departs.
I'll return his bow.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah.
So as that dance breaks up and Melvin sort of gets sidestepped or is about to sort of get pulled into that, I kind of want to do like that Von Trapp thing where like I'm going to step in and offer to dance with Sarayan in Melvin's place and step in to dance with her while that conversation is happening.
Oh my gosh, I would be.
Except I'm totally leading. So.
Oh my god, no, please! I tried to help Melvin. He was.
All right.
He was helpless.
So please make a performance check, and then we will get to what Aeneas, Talise, and Prion are doing with this.
Even better, but that's okay.
15.
17.
Okay, good. So you all, you both start sort of confidently striding across the dance floor. Now, Sarayan, you being led by Mariah in her warlike get-up with the beautiful jeweled sword scabbard by her side. It's a sight to see, and you can see people approvingly looking at all of you, impressed. Now, Prion, what is it that you're doing as your group begins to fan out amongst the guests here?
I think he'd probably just be standing around watching, not really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Saying hello if some people said hello to him, that sort of thing.
Okay. There's one woman in particular who approaches you and bows and says, Sir Prion, is it?
Aye, but you can just call me Prion, that's fine.
What, Oh, excuse me. So impolite. Excuse me. It is a pleasure to meet your acquaintance. You can see she catches herself about to ask you something and then kind of walks back from that and says, it's a pleasure to meet your acquaintance, and then bows again.
A pleasure to meet yours as well. I inquire her name.
My name is Adelaide. So I am the newly Lady Garnier. May I inquire what order it is you belong to, Sir Prion?
I don't belong to any order yet. But my hopes is to.
But you're a knight?
I wear the armor, people assume.
Oh my. She kind of gulps and says, excuse me, I must excuse myself. And she looks absolutely distressed and flustered as she turns around.
Laugh. Sorry to disappoint.
Prion, you feel you have made your second faux pas of the evening.
Prion won't lie about being a knight.
It's very good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. But it doesn't. Someone may have lied for you by accident.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Talise, what are you doing at this moment?
Beyond watching the dance floor and judging everyone, really kind of just on the lookout. She's not really in a mood to goof off. She's definitely on edge. Just kind of focused on getting the brooch and trying to get out. So she doesn't really, just sort of minding her own business, letting things happen, but not getting too close to any of the footmen.
Okay. You're just kind of keeping to yourself and being, staying in the corner. Got it. How about Aeneas?
Okay, Aeneas is confidently strolling across the dance floor, keeping an eye out, checking everyone out. Walking very regally, held it up high, upturned nose, because, she's a queen.
Gotcha. There is a heavily... excuse me. Yes. You see a familiar figure approach you who has now descended from the upper viewing area. You recognize this person as The Lord Admiral Jean-Francois Duc La Rochenoir, someone you have met before, and he gives you an elaborate bow and says, I must apologize to you. I did not know I was in presence of royalty earlier. Queen of Darkness, it is my pleasure to meet with you this evening.
You can see the mask goes up, customer service face. She comes from royalty and all the intrigues. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance as well.
I am very grateful to be able to speak with you tonight and hope to enjoy further conversation and perhaps a dance.
I would be absolutely delighted to dance with you, sir. And she'll curtsy.
And he extends a hand and leads you through a few simple moves and says, Queen, it is. Is this an actual title? What exactly, where is your domain?
Of course. I am Inaris Alcent of House Alcent. I am Queen of the Underdark.
Queen of the Underdark. Inaris, please make a deception check.
The whole thing.
The whole thing. The whole thing.
Did she stutter?
Didn't stutter. I'm going to use my inspiration for this because I demand this to go well. Go.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. Okay. Better roll. Better roll. Better roll.
Yes,
Better
17.
roll. Okay.
Okay. He look of surprise and excitement and fear all sort of mixed together as he his steps tighten a bit as if he is now all the more wary of every step of this dance as he leads you through it. This being absolutely deferential to all your movements and guiding you carefully across the dance floor. He is he absolutely believes you.
Yes.
And at this point, Priyan, you can see a few are starting to distance themselves from you. You see a few fingers pointed. At about this point, you hear a bit of panic and shuffling on the far side of the dance floor as this woman seems to be trying to place some feathers back onto her mask that have fallen out. And about this point, the music does cut and the ghoul announces, Her Majesty, Grand Duchess Saidra D'Honaire, host of this evening's festivities. And she strides in onto the dance floor, down a set of stairs. She is wearing a gold mask with a strangely elongated nose and has a set of plumage about her mask. Her dress is red, clad to her body, and then the train on the side of it is linked to each wrist. There's a great train of red cloth following her wherever she goes, and her footsteps are almost imperceptible, or maybe are completely imperceptible. She almost glides across the floor with a preternatural grace, bowing, acknowledging all of these nobility as they applaud her, show her deference, and look at her with absolute admiration. You all can't help but about feel the same way as her movements are captivating. She moves towards the center of the floor and then suddenly stops, and you see her gaze shoot to the side where you see this woman kind of adjusting her mask, which is just about fallen off, and two feathers have fallen off, and she then looks back and she says, I just bought this today. Truly, I don't know who sold me this. Saidra starts to move towards her. I promise, I just bought it today. I had it made just for me. It is my own, and this dress too is brand. And as you can see, as she gestures towards her dress, she accidentally rips off a piece of the lace from her own shoulder, and some of the decoration from the gown falls off and hangs loose to the side of her shoulder. And she just looks then up. You can't see her face behind the mask, but you can tell she is pale and petrified. And Saidra walks closer to her. Liar. Liar, I condemn you. And points her finger at this woman, who opens her mouth to protest and then crumbles into a pile of dust. Her garb completely vanished, and everything but a mask that falls on top of the pile of ashes. You then see a couple footmen go to each side and with little dustpans and begin to wipe up this fine gray powder that this woman has been turned into. They clean up, and then Saidra looks away and smiles to all of the rest of the guests. And then the waltz resumes as she calls for a dance partner to join her. And that is where we will pick up after our little breaky break.
That's where we're rolling this
Spooky.
And welcome back. Thank you to all of those sticking with us. Just a reminder, we are doing a giveaway at the end of the night. Those of you who may have showed up on break, ! Giveaway will enter you. We have 2 things to give away since you were all so wonderfully generous and summoned a hype train that may have reset. We can do more hype trains. You never know. Well, you do know it will happen if you if you do it.
It's in your hands.
So to speak, the party is attending the Grand Masquerade hosted by Grand Duchess Saidra D'Honaire. They are mingling. Some of them have committed feel as if they've committed a few minor faux pas. And you notice then towards the end, a woman, her costume, her dress starting to sort of fall apart, and as she got flustered, she showed that even more of it was not in fact fine tailory, but was just kind of pieced together to look fine. And as the Duchess noticed this, she worked her way over and in an imperious voice pointed to her and spoke the words, "Liar, I condemn you." A bit of light flashed from her finger, and then this person collapsed into a pile of dust, only their mask empty laying on top, as a few red-coated, hunched-over footmen came with little dustpans to sweep up the dust now on the dance floor.
DM, would a Arcana check be appropriate to determine what sort of effect this was?
Yes.
16.
16 just gets it.
I was going to say, can I counterspell it? But then I realised it's not that character.
Yeah, it looks like the effects of a disintegrate spell.
And then I'd like to make special note of where those footmen go that are sweeping up the dust.
Okay.
I'm going to look at her. Has she got anything around her neck that would look like a key?
Make a perception check.
I'm going to roll my quacken. Perception +7. Ugh. 11.
11. There are chains around her neck. There's jewelry. She has sort of a chain of jewelry with different ornaments around her waist as well. But from here, as she's spinning now in a dance with another person, you cannot tell.
As that's happening, I want to kind of put myself in a position on a dance floor, where, if it seemed like there was a suitable moment, I might be able to butt in.
Okay. I will make a note as well. Inaris, as you have impressed and convinced the Lord Admiral of your actual royalty, he will also offer that you may call on him amongst his peers in the upper echelons when you wish. So you are also invited into the VIP area.
She throws up a little bit in her mouth.
You will also, just as a point of fact before we get to it too, you will see, you all will notice that the woman who approached Prion, very, very well dressed. She described herself as the newly Lady Garnier. She will ascend up kind of nervously, not totally confidently, into that same area. There are now 5 of them in that same little perch for a moment. Excuse me, 6 of them. One looking very regal that you have not met. It's an older man with not a naval uniform, but a number of insignia and badges of honor and such. You also see the chief surgeon that you met in the Phlegethon Hospital. You see the Lord Admiral, obviously. You see a woman dressed sort of similarly to Mariah, in pants, but more of like a she's wearing a coat that is single row of buttons and has sort of a mandarin collar that is a fine fabric, but she looks dressed sort of plainly, almost like clergy in a way, up there. And then you also, that you have not met yet, and then the Grand Conjurer René de la Mort, who Melvin met. So there are 6 up there, and you can see they all individually leave from time to time to mingle around. Now, Mariah, as you are down there, you see that the Duchess is kind of weaving her way, dancing occasionally, and as certain songs begin, someone will occasionally step forward offering her a dance, and she will, for the most point, she refuses and then kind of walks around. There seems to be this pattern of people very nervously going up to her and asking her for sort of an extended dance, and she is mostly politely refusing them here and there. What would happen if she accepted, you don't really know. You haven't witnessed it quite yet, but that's what is kind of going on at the moment. She will occasionally join for 1 or 2 steps, but this full invitation to go on, not quite yet. So that's what's happening at the moment. You have just seen this person disintegrated. Oh, you're also asking, I believe Melvin was asking to follow or just watch the...
Take careful note of where those...
Yeah.
Where the dust is ending up, like what kind of containers, and then where those are being put or taken.
Okay. People are keeping their distance from that site, so it's easy enough to see. One of the footmen kind of just takes the mask and tucks it into their belt, and then as they sweep up the dust into these little golden dust pans that they have, they then dump it into a little silver pouch, cinch it shut, and then kind of walk with their pans and hand brooms to a small alcove. Seems to be cordoned off, and there is indeed some curtains separating it. They duck behind the curtains under the cordon and seem to leave for some time before then returning and standing at attention with their dustpans and brooms.
Random question. Is the tabaxi around that we had met previously?
You do see the tabaxi down on the dance floor, yes.
If I just kind of gently acknowledge him if there's a point at which eyes might meet across the room.
Yes, and they will make a smooth, sort of fluid bow. Continue to approach towards you, kind of giving a look towards all the members of the party with a toothy smile. Ah, there you are. Fashionably late. That's very appropriate.
Your advice was spectacular.
Glad to hear it. Glorious place, isn't it?
Is he referring to where we are right now?
He's kind of looking around at all of the things and kind of drumming a hand on the hilt of his scimitar.
I suspect, like many things, there are multiple layers that one might find the opportunity to explore, should they be so inclined.
If you are thinking of wandering beyond the dance floors and the hospitality of Saidra D'Honaire, I think you might be disappointed.
Do you have experience with those domains?
I find the veneer much more pleasing than the rot underneath.
How far does the veneer extend?
As far as any sane person would care to go. No farther.
Good.
Truly. And then he kind of offers you, he bows and sort of offers to take you to begin a dance with you.
Sure. Why not?
As you kind of start to spin through the dance floor. What is it exactly you are here for? Please, I am so curious.
Doing a favor for one person, or I suppose rather an exchange. These clothes were not easy to come by, after all. Seeking that which might open doors for us in the future. Though whether it be near or far, I cannot say.
Cryptic, but understood. Do you have any more questions for the tabaxi? Or?
I will ask him, in your last celebration here, when you so gloriously won the Duchess's hand for a dance, what did you do to garner that attention?
You will explain that at the stroke of the bell, when everyone raises their glass, a few suitors or dancers will present themselves, and a circle will form, and they will go through it's the only person who truly gets to dance with her. There will be one, maybe two per night, and it will be a featured dance. Some people will cut in and such, but those who complete the full cycle of the dance with her will be lauded by the group. And he says that as someone stepped forward, he called them out for a slight and challenged them to a duel on the spot, and basically defeated this person who was not very popular anyway in the court, and as such was given the chance to dance with Saidra D'Honaire. None dared to cut into the dance while he was dancing with her, and then he was sort of instantly rewarded with a place in society for having completed what he called the dance with death.
Interesting. Very interesting.
Casual.
Yeah, super casual. All right, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
While all of this is happening, Melvin's going to make his way toward the VIP section.
Okay. As if they've been informed, the red-coated servants in the uniform masks will part for you and allow you up to the sort of upper viewing area. You will see, as you come up to there, the Lord Admiral in conversation with the Grand Conjurer that you met previously. They will give you a brief acknowledgement. You also see the woman in the sort of Mandarin-looking suit standing near them as well. By herself is the woman who spoke to Prion before, kind of just looking a bit lost and just looking across the crowd with a glass of sparkling wine in her hand.
I'll go over to the woman who looks kind of lost.
Okay, and she will look to you and say, Archmage, it is a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
We are honored by the presence of one so eminent and learned as you.
You honor me with your praise.
Feels like the formalities have been, you get this sense that the formalities have been accomplished, and she relaxes a bit and says, so, from Neverwinter, what brings you here to Dementlieu? The Hospitalos University, surely.
Well, I have an academic interest in many things arcane, and while I've been traveling...
My father, the late Lord Garnier, he recently passed, he was a grand inventor, brilliant, and a great friend to the Duchess. Thank you. I shall inherit his estate soon enough. Well, you are mage, you say? You understand inventions and all the sorts of stuffs that these people will tinker with in their laboratories and such.
Yes, I do dabble in that occasionally. Did your father have anything particularly interesting that he was working on?
Oh, many things. Well, at least I think As I grew to age, I took my own house, and it had been some time since I had been to his manor. I worry about. Well, it would honor me if a mage of your capability would help me catalog my father's grand inventions.
It certainly sounds like it would be an interesting time, and I would be glad to assist. But one of the other reasons that I ended up here actually was I was quite interested in that little display that we just saw. Actually, I had heard rumors about, certain items that occasionally leave Dementliu and maybe are not supposed to, of an arcane nature, and that piqued my interest, of course, while I was traveling. So.
I do not know what you mean. That what you just saw is, people shouldn't lie. It is a disgraceful thing. And they
Of course.
They are showed for what they are. Dust masquerading as wealth will return to dust in its due time.
Is that a common occurrence at the Masquerade?
Yes. Many undeserving will try to make their way here.
I see.
You can see behind these statements too, while they're harsh, there is a kind of fear and hardness behind her eyes. Whether or not she believes it, you can't really tell, but you see that those statements don't come easily or are said with a sort of resentment to her own words, I guess.
Well, it's certainly different from Neverwinter. I'll say that much.
She
But
nods.
It's quite the party that you throw here.
Yes, it is the most exclusive and exquisite event, I think, in all of this old coast. You have come to the right place. And she kind of nods and gives you a little bow and cheers to you and kind of turns and then realizes she's not really comfortable talking to the other people and sort of just kind of clears her throat and starts watching the crowd again.
I'll do the same.
Okay.
Does Sarayan see Melvin getting all friendly with some?
Yeah, Sarayan, you do
some
look
lady?
up, and whether or not you've been dancing, you see Melvin speaking to what looks to be almost a member of royalty.
But I'm a member of royalty.
So having noticed this, Sarayan, because Sarayan definitely has been dancing, she begins to scout the crowd for the most handsome young man with which to dance.
Okay. It's hard to tell. They're all in masks.
I know, but who has the nicest body? You know what I mean?
Priorities.
Oh my god.
You
Can't see faces. What am I supposed to do?
It's me, obviously.
Who's tallest? Who's
Amazing.
tallest?
Because it went really well last time.
you're looking around and you see a couple rather strong looking figures. You see Prion kind of standing by himself. You notice by this point some people are actively avoiding him. And then there are a few other members of the maybe the military or knights or sort of lords of different warlike orders that are there. One particularly young is wearing a very well-fitting uniform and has a sword strapped to his side.
Oh, yeah, she's into it. So
Yeah.
she shoots a very, not that Melvin even notices,
We'll
but
say his
it's one of those
masks look like this.
situations. Ooh, I'm excited. Oh, wow. It's that smolder. Whoa.
That porcelain smolder.
You know,
Yeah.
it's almost like Michael Myers meets, no, it's just like Michael
Dennis?
Myers.
One of his victims.
And that's what I start hearing. No, but Sarayan like shoots a very cutting glance towards Melvin, who I'm sure is completely oblivious, but it feels good because she knows the intent behind it. It's one of those situations. And she makes her way towards this tall, strapping young lad.
You could be
So,
old, you never know.
Mike-
Herself.
It's Mike Myers / Michael Fassbender.
Mike Fassbender.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Well, you know, can't go wrong, I guess, as long as he doesn't kill me.
It does not. Please, Sarayan, make a persuasion check as you go through the motions, as it were. But first, he will greet you, kind of looking. You are. I greet you, emissary of the deeps.
Yes, and I greet you, man who lives here, I'm assuming?
She thinks she's being coy.
And as you ask him a question right away, he kind of, good evening, and kind of turns around and walks away from you.
Damn it! All right, Sarayan will not be
Sarayan.
deterred. Who's next?
She's
All right.
royalty.
Sarayan,
Yeah.
asking that question so early, you have committed a second faux pas.
Beans.
Sorry, did
So
you already
good.
roll the persuasion check?
Not that it matters. He walked away.
It will now matter because people are trying to avoid you a little bit now.
Damn it. Okay. I rolled a 14.
14 is enough. You will be able to
Thank God.
attract / corner someone, you know, a little bit of both.
You. Dance with me.
And a sort of
How I got on my
nervous
boyfriends.
military, another military man, not quite as cut as the one before, but you know, second choice.
Probably a meathead. It's fine.
Not the ribeye. He's the New York strip. He kind of looks at you and kind of the word cut came to mind. Anyway,
Oh my God. So funny.
says emissary of the deep, I greet you.
He says nothing. Gives a little flourish to curtsy.
Kind of raises his eyebrow. It is my pleasure to meet you. I have never before had the honor of meeting one from so far a kingdom as yours.
And I you.
Okay. And that will be good enough that you may carry on in conversation or ask to dance with this person. But they are skeptical.
What? Why?
It may have been hard if you were listening to your companions, but this is a player knowledge thing to your companions. There is a sort of social structure to how you communicate with people that is kind of established. By this point, some of you have figured out that it is rude to ask basically within the first two interactions, the first two things you say to someone, if one of those is a question, it is considered rude.
Well, Sarade is not perceptive in this way, so.
Well, you just start going around asking people questions.
She did learn a little bit that first time with what was not the first one? He was not the New York
ribeye?
strip. Yeah, she learned with the ribeye.
Have you heard about our Lord and Savior?
Monsieur Tomahawk.
Wow.
Maybe.
Oh man, it's so off.
And so she definitely also, while letting him lead, is trying to make sure that wherever she is positioned on the dance floor, that she's in clear view of Melvin.
Noted.
This way. This way.
She's like aggressively humming.
Very good. Melvin, you probably very much noticed this. To your relief, to your terror, to your, I don't know, however you react to that, you see it. There is a fresh bit of hors d'oeuvres laid out, and you notice everyone begin to sort of mill about. The dancing sort of stops. Everyone takes a moment to eat, and you can see the hour is nearing towards the time when one of the dances will likely begin. I'll give you all a chance to regroup. There aren't a ton of clues out, or there aren't a ton of ways for you to figure out how to proceed, but I want to give you all a chance as characters to regroup and talk about what you're here to accomplish and what you think you might be able to accomplish in this place based on who you've met and what you know is going on.
Okay. All right, huddle up, y'all.
So what have we learned?
Melvin can't dance.
Yeah, Melvin can't dance, but I can. Did you see that guy was just dancing with Melvin?
Yeah, you look like you were having fun.
Yeah. You can position your back step about half an inch farther, Saran.
Why what?
Never mind.
Yeah. I know. I'm like, leave it to Mariah and Talise to be like, oh.
So, what have we learned? And we will tell each other about the things that we've talked about that we already know out of character.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely, as I have indicated in our private Zoom chat, I'm very interested in this inventor's daughter person. Because, I don't know, maybe he made something that went on someone's head. Just saying.
I will, of course, share this information with the group.
Okay.
I met the daughter of an inventor who died recently, and he had a workshop and made stuff. Thought that was interesting, and maybe there would be some like diagrams or schematics there in case we don't get the key.
Okay. Get back up.
Out of curiosity, how did he die?
Oh, she didn't say. I felt it would be impolite to push.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
She looked pretty. Did you think she was pretty?
Ryan.
I mean, everybody's dressed really fancy here.
Has anyone seen any sign of the brooch?
No, and we definitely need to start looking for that during this next
For
cycle.
sure. Yeah.
Okay. So about this point, the clock strikes again, doom, doom, and rings out as, surprisingly, already 11 p.m.
What?
Wow, time flies when you're having fun.
It does. It took you guys a long time to get ready.
All of us have to look really beautiful.
Given that much time has passed, I'm definitely recasting Enhance ability. It's FYI, Peter.
That's fine. Yeah. And there are people in here. There's actually another mage besides the archmage who seems to be casting some things as sort of showboating about using prestidigitation to impress people and such. So casual magic use is not, maybe garners some attention, but it's not a faux pas of the court, especially if it's not clearly, casting yourself a garment outfit, or something like that. As long as it's not that, it's cool. And as this happens, everyone raises their glass and says, they repeat the words as before. May the Duchess favor us all.
May the Duchess favor
The
us
Duchess
all.
favor us all.
Maybe
Daenerys
just
will-
favor us all.
She'll speak in Drow, and that's not what she's saying, but
Okay, does anyone refrain?
I do it, but mime it. I don't say it. Is that doable?
I'm muted.
You mean
I
you just
didn't
kind
fumble.
of...
I went.
Watermelon.
yeah.
Yeah, I mime it.
Okay. How convincing are you, Prion, that miming?
Persuasion, sleight of hand, performance.
Do you actually mouth the words, or do you mouth something different? That will make a difference.
I'm out something different.
Risky.
Make a performance check then. You and whoever else, Inaris as well.
Performance.
Yes.
12.
Like my mumbles are enough
12.
to get through.
No, you as well, Talise.
You rolled a perception, Chelsea.
Wait, which one did I do?
Performance is what you need
Which
to
means
do.
that you rolled a 7 plus your charisma.
Can I give myself guidance?
Sure.
Straight.
Ooh. Yay, 14.
Good thing for guidance. What was your roll totally? Your total roll in Eris?
I think it was 7.
Okay. You have committed a second faux pas. The others don't seem to notice. And then, as the bell rings out, you see a few suitors, a few men, a few women, stepping forward to offer Saidra D'Honaire a dance. And as those who do not offer hang back, they kind of form a circle around where the dance is going to take place. And she inspects all of them for a moment. Chooses
I'm gonna go
one.
for it.
All right.
Wow.
Hell yeah. Damn, girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make a persuasion
live on
check
the edge.
as you present yourself.
Mariah's hot. She's probably drunk.
Mhm.
Like, think about it.
Persuasion. 19.
Okay. Roll. Her eyes flit about and then settle on you. And she turns and almost just her whole form pivots. And then she glides across the floor to you, Mariah. And extends a
bow.
hand. She bows as well. Ever so slightly. And if you take her hand,
I do.
you will begin what is called the Dance of Death.
Oh, sweet fuck.
DM, while this selection is taking place, I'd like to standard cast Detect Magic using my ritual spell feature from the Awakened Spellbook once per day to cast it as a standard action. And I'm going to focus on her.
Yeah. She carries some magic item somewhere around her waist, and then her mask also has strong illusion magic. Something of abjuration around her waist.
Thank you.
Mariah, you will need to perform a series of checks as you dance with her.
Of course.
A certain number of successes will come out as a success. A certain number of failures will
I'm gonna die.
be very problematic. Now, there is a saying about the dance with the Duchess that you may have heard. To survive the dance, one must know the steps. To impress, one must ignore them. Now,
Okay.
you have to succeed on 3 of the 4 to succeed, and if you fail on 3 of the 4, you fail. If you tie, it resets.
Okay.
Each step will require a dexterity or charisma skill check. And each of you watching in your own little way, once per check, have the ability to influence what's going on. Whether through applause to convince that a trip was actually an intentional dip, to add a bit of flavor to whatever is going on. You all may help in a certain way by succeeding on your own skill check to give advantage to Mariah. So as she takes you, you begin a dance. It's unclear who's leading. It is a mutual pull and tug as you continue the dance for the first bit. Does anyone jump in to try to do anything? Or
I think she's got a vibe.
indeed attempt to cut in for the dance?
I think she's got a vibe.
Sorry, what?
Anyway.
Well, so I have a tactical question, Peter. So
Yeah.
Is this going to be one of those kinds of skill checks where you can't repeat a skill?
For your allies, I would say yes, and it can't be the same person over and over again. You, but no, for you, it is basically a performance check or an acrobatics check, or deception would really work too.
Oh, good. My best skill.
But if you have auto advantage through the spell?
I do. Yeah.
Interesting. In that case, if your allies succeed on their check, this is not an easy check for her to make, even with advantage. You can lower the DC by 2 points.
Okay.
So that is how we will go with it then. So Mariah begins to dance with the Duchess. There are looks of anticipation, of jealousy, of fear spread across all of the attendants. Does anyone jump in to try to aid in any way for the first steps?
Rain is just
If
gonna see
no,
this.
if no, then Mariah, please make a check of your choosing.
All right, Kraken, don't fail me now. Oh,
I could try and give her a reassuring nod in the right direction if she's leading, etc. Try to use insight.
Sure. Go ahead.
So you want me to make an insight roll, yeah?
I do want you to make an insight check if that's what you're doing.
I rolled a 14 plus 7, 21.
All right, Mariah, the check is reduced by 2.
all right. 21.
That's a success. And as you see her spinning around, you notice that she is wearing a belt that's a series of chains, and almost some charms are laying across the train of Saidra's dress. You see what look to be trinkets, little things. One of them is indeed a key, a key-looking object that is tied to her jewelry. All right, Mariah. You have 1 success out of 4, and the dance continues.
Help me, guys.
Anyone else want to chime in to help?
While
Melvin,
while this is happening, I'm gonna pull a small piece of folded paper that's been folded into the shape of a feather out of my pocket, and I'm watching very, very carefully. And if I ever see Mariah start to trip or stumble, I'm going to cast Featherfall on her to try to prevent her from stumbling badly enough to actually break concentration on the dance or anything.
Okay. All right.
Since that has to be cast as a reaction, it can't be cast ahead of time.
Do you have a check that I could make much along the same lines of Prion?
Sure, what did you have in mind?
So I was thinking, so I'm proficient in history, and so I was thinking that Sorayan would likely have studied at some point, given, the nature of her pilgrimage, the social norms of the various cultures that she may be exposed to during her pilgrimage. And so much in the same way, she would be kind of trying to analyze the dance that they were doing, and if there's any sort of indication that Mariah could use a little bit of help in that way, like Sorayan could kind of recall that information.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a history check then.
Okay. 17.
Okay. You, at one point, Mariah, the dance gets to a strange place where there's the footwork pattern doesn't make sense. It's like she's stepping left, right, left, right, left. It's just a strange pattern. And Sorayan, you have heard of this. It was one of those cram questions that you just memorize. What are the steps of the blah, 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 blah? A strange sort of waltz tango combination that is known for tripping people up. And you're like, left, right, right, left, right, left. And so you're just sitting there, and Mariah, you look, and Sorayan is just sitting there mouthing left, right, left. And you're just
left, right.
somehow she's right. It will reduce the difficulty of following this strange pattern of steps.
All right. Round 2. 26.
That's a success. Easily a success as it continues. And the next part of the dance begins. 3 of 4.
Peter, would you allow an Arcana check for me for that Featherfall preparation?
Yeah. Yes.
Sweet. 22.
Okay. And it's more that, however, it's you guys have now known each other enough that the sort of there's sort of a trust between you, but Mariah, look over and see Melvin at the ready, and you don't exactly know what it is, but you feel that he is ready to support you should something happen, and it allows you to relax a bit, knowing that his casting is at the ready, and that should something happen, you won't be just left to wallow in failure or to fall clumsily to the floor. So that will be the check reduced once again.
29.
Wowzers. All right. A success. You have already succeeded on 3 of 4. So you will be able to finish out the dance, and she will give you a sweeping bow, and the entire ballroom will erupt in applause, as none have tried to cut in either. Based on the strength of your checks, no one dared. You are praised by both Saidra D'Honaire. Your movements are remarkable, Captain.
Though I may have confidence in my movement, it is your grace and knowledge of dance that led us through that particular moment.
Well spoken. You are welcome in my home anytime. Please feel free to join the ranks of any in this place, as she gestures towards the Lord Admiral and her other sort of closest advisors that sit in the little observational position. You are honored this night. I see you as true. And then she turns and begins to move away.
Turn back and look at
Mariah.
the group and make eye contact with them and be like, "Ugh."
Despite her youthful movement and graceful countenance, when you did touch her hand, it was strangely leathery as your hand moved across it.
Ew.
It didn't feel particularly pleasant. And the regular bit of the ball resumes, and you see her going away. You do see, indeed, again, the key on her waist.
All right.
So it's up to you guys. What's next?
We still need to get the brooch.
The brooch, yeah.
We need to broach the brooch.
Okay. After all this time, you would have noticed there is a woman in a blue dress who's got a bird-like mask with many colored feathers coming off the top of it. And as sort of the centerpiece of her dress, the bustle and some of the other bits are all tied together and pinned up by a large parrot brooch. It's less a brooch, more of a large decorative pin used to, again, hold the train of her dress up as she dances.
We're gonna get this lady dusted, aren't we?
We need to go. Are you ready to go, Talise?
Are you?
Of
I mean,
course.
yes.
I'm always okay. I have a.
Are you done dancing? You've been having so much fun.
I have been having fun, but this is something that we need to do. Do I look okay?
Yes. You look phenomenal. Let me fix your hair.
Okay, that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
That's probably true.
Okay.
So they start walking towards what is her name again? The woman Danielle.
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 The lady in the blue dress.
The lady
Talise is
in
definitely gonna
blue.
like lock eyes with Nene because there's no point starting if she's not ready.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's very true.
She'll
I would never
lock
forget
eyes
my
and
partner.
nod
Okay.
slightly.
The
I got you.
holy warriors, the The holy ladies all kind of move out and
Loud.
start stalking across the dance floor towards Danielle, who is in conversation with one of the men. Yeah, she's there. She is just
V formation.
she is just in conversation, partaking of some hors d'oeuvres and some wine. This large decorative pin at her back.
At her back?
Yeah, you can see it's kind of it's holding up her train. It seems to
Like the
also be
bustle?
tying together bits of her dress. Like it seems like sort of the corset is sort of woven around the pin as well.
We are gonna get her dusted. This bitch about to get dusted.
Or Nene.
Oh.
Have some confidence. Queen of
So
the
we-
Underdark here.
Sarayan pulls herself up to her greatest height, rolls her shoulders back, takes a deep breath, looks for reassurance from Talise,
Got this shit.
and approaches.
Okay, she just turns around and gives you a kind of confused little bow before just casually acknowledging you before trying to turn back to her current conversation. Greetings, one from the depths.
Indeed. Greetings to you. You have a beautiful gown.
I
can't
am
help but
honored
admire
that
it.
you would say so. And she does seem to have quite a few suitors surrounding her at the moment. She is one of the best. She's not of the advisor level society, but she is certainly of the upper crust. She is gaining a lot of attention. You see a number of people around her that seem to be very interested in dancing with her, getting to know her. She is definitely the center of attention here. But she, you can tell begrudgingly, turns to you and acknowledges you and politely continues the conversation as...
She's also wearing a mask, I assume.
Yes.
And is it very ornate and clearly new, or is it one of the older?
Very ornate and clearly new, and it matches perfectly the brooch on her back, or the pin used to on her back.
Oh,
What an
Lordy,
unusual and beautiful mask. Did you have that made specially?
Well, of course. My family was recently graced by a large fortune and a great success.
Oh, that is so wonderful. I myself was born into riches, but it's great that you've been able to join the upper crust.
Some of us are noble by accident. Others receive it by grace.
Wow. Real fucking rude.
Sarayan is used to these sorts of backhanded
You definitely
statements.
get dusted, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe by them, but definitely by me. Meet me outside.
How about that?
Catch me outside. How about that?
At this point, because that was very clearly an intense giggle.
Yeah, Sarayan definitely did giggle like that, though.
Yes. Yes, you did. Talise
Wasn't
will be
just Liz.
comfortable. Talise is definitely gonna have to walk up and
Please, thank goodness you're here.
yes. I'm gonna nod to Sarayan. Sort of it's nice to see you too. And then I will actually hold out one of my hands in sort of greeting to her, to Daniela. but like I'm not wearing gloves, so I've put some of the moisture on my skin so that it's like a glove. So I have like a long glove up my arm. Yep. It
Like
looks
a
cool, it's
clammy
off-putting.
glove?
I liked. Yeah.
Clammy
Like
water
I don't care about anyone else's comfort, but it looks great. And it'd be
She's
rude
kind
to
of
deny my handshake.
make a
That was
persuasion check. She's kind of looking. She says, "Yes, my parents were recently taken, but I assure you, our family name is in good hands with me. My brothers and sisters will not have to face the same, well, strife any longer."
Okay. Let's see if I can do this inspiration click properly. Off-putting clammy hand.
Yum.
Sarayan.
Elise, she kind of gestures in a direction you can't really tell where she's going to, and then a rot-smelling little footman in a red coat comes and hands you a towel for your hand.
Yeah, I'm just going to ignore it because I have better things to do than look at the help.
Oh!
You should get advantage on your next persuasion check. That was
kidding.
properly classist for this place.
Thank you.
Sarayan does take the towel.
Okay.
She just felt bad.
Danielle is looking. Is there anything else I can help you with?
Yes. So, who's the most eligible? Who's the most eligible young bachelor tonight?
Let me step in. I'm sorry. My friend, because she's new in the surface world, sometimes she doesn't quite say what she means to say, and she ends up being offensive when really she's just curious about learning about how the world works. So I think a better question would be, could you tell us about the people that are here? Are there any specific people that are interesting or actually worth our time? Outside of you, of course.
And I'm very persuasive for what it's worth. Wink, wink. So I could offer some help.
I'm sure you are.
Oh my god, I literally.
All right, Talise. You may try again
I withdraw.
on this persuasion with advantage.
No advantage. You just try by yourself.
No, I get advantage because I'm playing a classist jerk right now, and he said I got it.
Well, it's not for me.
I thought I was gonna be like, it's not gonna help at all. It did help a little. So I got a 15. Uh-oh.
She looks at you and kind of looks up and down and says, respects your candor, the way you've delivered it, and says, I suppose it is always good to have an understanding of the outliers, what is utterly unachievable and what would be embarrassing. So if you're looking for the top of, if you're looking to calibrate yourself that way, the most eligible is, the Brigadier General Renard Simoneau. That, and she gestures to the one that Sarayan, you walked up to and asked a question to, who promptly walked away from you. So
he certainly has very noble bearing. Yes.
He does have very noble bearing. He is, you know, he's ribeye.
He's great at walking away from Sarayan.
Anyway.
Hey man, she might like the view from behind. So
Yeah,
I mean,
maybe
hey.
I wanted that on purpose.
It's not bad.
Hey, he's a sharp dresser.
Anyway,
He's got a
have
title.
you heard the good word of persona?
oh sweet lord.
As you can see, I was not kidding when I said that she is still learning how to behave in let's say,
So
above ground
Oh my god,
society?
if you say civilized, I swear to god I will kill you.
I said above ground.
by this point, she has given you. She is utterly confused by this conversation and starting to back away from it and try to find a new one. Object. Very well. Yeah. Go ahead.
If this seems like it's pretty noticeable at this point.
Yeah. They're borderline making a scene.
I'd like to clock where Aneris is and cast Minor Illusion on the other side of the room from Aneris to make a rather loud clattering noise as if someone has just dropped a serving platter on the ground.
Okay.
To try to draw attention the opposite
Everyone
direction.
kind of looks over in that direction.
I'm a sleight of hand that bitch.
All right. Make a sleight of hand check.
Please. Please. Please, please, please.
I love you. You got this.
Go.
I believe you can fly.
That's a 15.
Okay. 15.
You got D6 inspiration.
Oh yeah.
Do I have a D6 inspiration?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, I use it. I use it.
Woohoo! You got it.
Go, 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 go. That's a dirty 20.
You're on 19.
Are you sure?
Right? Did I have 15? No, 15.
19.
19.
Are
I thought I got
you
a
sure?
15. My bad.
So you slide by, and it's everyone's turn. You kind of brush past using the long sleeves of your dress, and you kind of yank this pin out, and you see then bits of the dress start to fade as if suddenly they've been in the sunlight for far too long. And it's not just the train that falls or the bustle that comes undone. All the bits of the fabric turned from almost lace to burlap, and suddenly she's clad like a peasant girl from any place in the Sword Coast.
I back away.
And there's a sign as suddenly a circle forms around as everyone starts to back away
Definitely backing
from her. And then you hear the voice of Saidra D'Honaire. What is the meaning of this? And she starts walking towards this circle. And you can see the ghouls all rush forward with their little dustpans and brooms at the ready.
Can I mom arm? I almost called you the wrong name. Can I mom arm Sarayan and kind of just back up slightly quicker than everyone else?
The rain doesn't
yeah.
need your help.
So
Sarayan's gonna get it.
you guys back away, and she is left there alone. Her mask kind of crumbles, and you just see you just see her face there in the middle of the dance floor. And you hear, each of you in your ears, a little bit of a sound of laughter. All of you who have accepted the masks from the Three Odd Gables hear a good. She deserves it. Unlike you, she didn't follow through on her promise. And what?
Creepy.
And Saidra walks forward. You pretending to be royalty. Liar. I condemn you. And reaches out her finger, and again, this person collapses into a pile of dust that is soon swept up by little hunched over creatures in red coats. Soon, The mess is cleaned up, taken away, and the dancing resumes. It is now halfway till midnight. There will likely be one more dance in the evening, and everything goes on as normal.
If I recall correctly, we're supposed to get that brooch to them before midnight. Yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's unclear whether we needed to get it to them before midnight or if we just had to remove it from her person before midnight.
Peter, can we get a confirmation?
They said to steal it before midnight while the ball is in its full swing.
Okay.
It doesn't matter when we return it, just as long as it was stolen before
I
midnight.
thought we had to do a delivery by midnight. Whew.
Okay.
I guess for me, for the remaining time, I'll kind of hang out in the upper section since I was given leave to do so.
Okay.
Dorian is feeling all of the feelings she's felt every time she has been just like totally dunked on. So she's leaving. She's walking out the doors. She is done.
Actually leaving the ball.
Yeah. She felt
No.
like she finally was like making friendly conversation with Talise, and then she got dunked on.
Okay, yeah, I will go after her.
Dorian
I'll
is
try
not
to catch
interested.
her.
She's going to the girls' bathroom to cry.
Okay, I could follow you. We can
And-
have a moment, a middle school dance moment if you want.
She's like 12
So-
years old. She's 17.
They'll go off, but before that, Mariah, you are allowed entry. They will the figures up here will give you respectful deference as one who has undergone the dance with such alacrity.
The guy with the really, really long name that Melvin totally memorized is up here, right?
Yes.
His
Lord
Grace
Admiral.
Jean-Francois,
Jean-Francois, right.
Lord Admiral of the Grand Fleet of Dementlieu, High Chancellor of the Third Re-Resurrected Order of the Amber Lily.
Sweet fuck. Okay. I'm good. I would like to approach him and bow and greet. David, help my poor fatigue-addled brain, please, again.
His Grace Jean-Francois, Duc La
I will address him
Lochnoir,
as
Lord
your
Admiral
Grace.
of the Grand,
That's all I needed. That's
etc., etc.
Grace, it is an honor to see you this evening. Hope all is well.
Dangerously close to a question, but not a question, and he will you will repeat the pleasantries and acknowledge you in return.
How long have you captained the Dementlieu fleet, if you don't mind me asking?
It has been under my command for 15 years.
Do you travel far with your fleet?
Usually not. I am charged with the very important task of defending the immense wealth of this grand land.
Understood. Open water doesn't call for you?
I am afraid of no travel or no waters. We shall conquer whatever we sail through, but we choose to stay here and defend this beautiful jewel, the most wealthy and richest city in all of this old coast.
And it is an honorable duty to undertake. I do not mean to imply any offense towards your noble actions.
You would know if you caused me offense.
I'm sure I would. If I may be honest with you, from experienced sailor to experienced sailor. I'm a little uncertain of what to do with our great host's favor. Is it proper to call upon her at times outside of the ball?
As one who has completed the dance, yes.
Are there standard procedures for that sort of thing? Don't want to walk into it totally blind.
Her servants will know your face, and, well, I would observe the traditional calling hours, call on her for tea at 3, for, well, it depends. If it is a weekend, you could call upon her 10 for a nice brunch, or for luncheons, or for wine at 4 o'clock. I would not call for dinner unless invited. That is considered quite rude. But, well, you see. And he will kind of give you some times when it would be appropriate to, yeah.
All right. Thank him for his wisdom and depart.
Okay.
GM, I wanted to send my manifest mind, which has sort of just been shadowing me and keeping close this entire time. I want to have it follow the 2 servants that are taking that bag of dust. This most recent poor victim away.
Is it just like a it's an invisible sensor?
It is not invisible.
Okay.
It's tiny.
It is a tiny bit of glowing script that floats in the air. Does not occupy its space.
Make a caster level check to try to.
On the Kraken die, I have an 18. Plus 4 for my int is 22.
Yeah, so you're able to hide it very well, kind of under the folds of the clothing as they continue along. And these creatures descend down a staircase, and much like where you were in the hospital, as soon as they get beyond these curtains and one more set of doors downstairs, this place is rickety, it's wet, it's moldy, it is unfurnished and kind of a terrible wreck. Then they take off their masks and you see these long sort of tongues hanging out of their mouths, eyes set deep, almost shriveled in their heads, as these servants, clearly not living, kind of loosen their clothes and move along. As you follow them, you see they kind of shake the dust and make jokes about the mask that they have, and move down and continue down to a door.
I will
with
note before you go too far.
Yeah.
It has a 300-foot range.
Okay.
So I will move as close to
the
curtained area as I can.
Yeah. So they will move down sort of into some cellar areas, and you see them opening a back door towards what looks to be a secret little dock on the cliffside. As they go out, you see a small boat is sitting there, and they are making gestures and speaking, sort of just grunting towards one another, and then make a... you see some hooded figures on a boat that have just docked with a hooded lantern. And you hear them say, "You brought what we want." And you hear the voice, female's voice, responding, "Of course, you have the dust and the mask." And they, yeah. And 2 more hooded figures from the boat roll out some heavy packages and lay them upon the ground, probably about 6 feet long. They're sort of wrapped up in cloth. 4 of them they throw down on the path, and then the ghouls kind of get the ghouls. I just said ghouls, but the things kind of just smell at them and say, and then hand over the bags of dust and the masks to the characters in the robes, who then push away and start rowing back towards the city. The footmen then drag these parcels back through the door into a small room, and you see now about a dozen in red, their robes kind of tossed aside. And as they roll out one of these long cylindrical packages, you see then a body wrapped up, a deceased body. And suddenly you see them all remove their masks and begin to feast on the dead flesh. The trade made all too clear. Dust for the dead.
Brody. Good going, Melvin.
This is... Yeah, I can't do that. Okay. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And I will actually dismiss the spectral mind at this point, so that it does not have to stealthily make its way back in.
It is nearing midnight. Is there anything else people would like to do? Are you looking at just departing, or what is the plan for now?
Saran has full Hermione Grangered and gone to the girls' bathroom to cry.
Do we need to go find her?
No, because I'm there.
Is there a troll in the
I followed
dungeon?
her out.
Troll in the dungeon.
Well, I mean,
Thought you
One
ought to know.
second.
Thought you ought to know.
no DM. Do what you want.
Level 20, everyone.
Hurry. We should
Hurry.
We should fill this up with some rolls and make him think we were actually up to something.
Oh my god.
That's concerning, because what if he wants to, like, follow up those rolls? Let's just fill up the space with strange noises and staring at our webcams awkwardly.
Jade, have you shown Saidra D'Honaire's token to the stream?
Yes.
Okay.
At the
Just want to make sure, because she's fucking creepy, y'all.
Yeah.
And that hand.
Well, Peter didn't show it enlarged, but yeah.
Bruh.
Let me show
Yeah.
it.
It's definitely creepy.
Zoom in.
There's some like dead stuff happening here.
Well, I tried to tell you.
Yeah, her
and you
like
walked
upper
away.
body is just kind of like melding into dust. It's kind of creepy.
I mean, I knew what I was getting into, Talise. Don't worry.
She's so pretty.
Like, have any of you guys ever seen like the first season of Black Butler?
Yes.
This is totally Victoria vibes.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
get that. Yeah.
Definitely.
All
Nice
right.
reference.
Any decisions?
Yes, we've all decided on which artifact we would like to take at this point, since you rescinded your DM power briefly.
Ha 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 ha.
It's true.
They are all cursed.
Oh,
Worth it.
We should, unless we just need to pick up Saran and Talise from the bathroom, but I think otherwise we probably shouldn't test our luck any further.
Okay. You're just gonna get on out of here, leaving. Okay.
Don't we
Actually,
need the key?
Are we gonna get it?
We should come back.
Yeah.
I can come back. We should probably not make a scene in front of 10 billion people. It's not 10
Let's
billion.
hand
but you
over
know what
the-
I mean.
Let's
take care
hand
of the
over
brooch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
yes, I agree.
All right. Just broaching it.
GM, actually, for clarification, are we supposed to return that brooch, or is it ours to keep?
Ooh.
They did want you to bring it back.
Yeah, I was like, I got the feeling they wanted it back. If they're willing to let that girl be dusted, I think they wanted it back.
Their conditions were weird. They wanted you to steal it before midnight at the ball and not anywhere else.
So
And
she
It was
would be
unclear whether it was
dusted,
just
'cause
they
that's
didn't
why
want her
they
to have
wanted
it,
her-
or if they wanted
her
it back.
dead. And they didn't
Yeah.
want their hands dirty.
With the dust.
but she did indeed get dusted. So yeah, they do want it back. Now, as you leave, you will hear you kind of are able to gather again, Sarayan and Talise, and you will hear, Archmage.
Yes?
Are you freaking kidding me?
As the continues, would I, pardon me, I do not mean to inconvenience you at all, but I would, the sooner you are able to help me catalog the things of my father's place, I would be very grateful. And I'm sure, as any archmage knows, that sometimes places that have been abandoned, well, not abandoned, but, you know, genius sometimes leaves certain things unattended to that may be dangerous. And one
of course,
needs
yes.
protect themselves when investigating things of such power that could be dangerous. Yes?
Yes, of course.
Would you do me the honor of aiding me in cataloging the wonders my great and ingenious father left behind at your earliest convenience? There's a little bit of desperation in her eyes.
Would an insight check be appropriate to determine whether she is trying to get me to come do this tonight?
Sure.
Because that's the vibe I'm getting as a player.
She wants you now.
Nighttime activities, huh?
Ooh.
Melvin's popular.
Cataloging.
Yeah.
Not my fault you guys called me an archmage.
I will accept responsibility for that.
13 for that insight.
13. Let's see. Yeah, she's not, she's being pretty clear about it, and seems that she would leave with the rest of you now to head that way.
I am, of course, willing to do so. Let me just check in with the rest of the group that I arrived with momentarily.
Melvin speaks differently too.
Her-
Archmage Melvin is different than
Right, no
regular
kidding.
Melvin.
So like Sarayan is like standing at the edge of the group. Her arms are folded across her chest, and she's clearly been crying, and she just looks pissed, and she's just like standing there like
I'll go back over to the group and just say, so this lady, she was up in the VIP section, and she asked asked me to come help her catalog some stuff that her inventor father left behind, and she said it might be dangerous, and so she was hoping for some help with that and to avoid getting killed by random explosions or something.
Oh, is she a bit rough, is she?
Huh.
I'm not sure what you mean.
I know exactly what he means.
Oh, is that like this? Is this like that book that you lent me that one time,
You know, I
Mariah?
really didn't mean to lend you that book, but there's probably a few things for you to learn in there.
Wait, there's a book?
I mean, if you want to go, then
There are many books.
go have some fun. We'll be right back.
Just go have a great time, Melvin.
It sounds like she legitimately wants some help. That's all teasing aside, my friends.
Who is teasing?
No one.
Anyway.
Sorry.
We go now.
Teasing is my love language. You guys just gonna have to.
I'm gonna put my arm over Sarayan's shoulder and subtly pass her a flask that I definitely have had in my pocket this entire time.
And DM, it was unclear to me. Does she want? Does this lady wants assistance from multiple
Yes.
people or just from me?
Oh, well, she seemed to suggest that it's going to be dangerous. And that was, I think, a clue with your insight that if you have hired muscle or something.
Especially
that
as
might
you
be.
are not an archmage.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Well, archmages,
I
you know,
hate
it's
to
all
be the
it's
one
all
to bring
good
it up,
until they
but-
get up close to you, and then it's you
Yeah,
know,
if you're an
strength.
archmage, it doesn't matter if anything gets up close to you. Just to quickly, a massive thank you to MCR Music 3 for tipping $5. Thank you very, very
Hey.
much. That's a D20 inspiration, DM.
Few of you have blown through some inspiration, I think.
I've still got mine,
Yep. A
so
little bit.
I
could use it.
Damn
I
it,
get it.
Peter gets
that's
it.
me. I get 2.
Damn.
I get it.
What about Wave?
So,
Wave
Thank you
already
very
has
much.
Wave needs
Yeah.
Wave needs all the inspo.
In that case, well, I think that we should probably all go. It sounds like it could be pretty dangerous, and you know, I'm not actually an archmage, so I'm
Oh,
not so
really?
confident.
How about we all do Melvin a solid and make sure that
Liar.
he
Just
doesn't. Oh God.
Damn.
Oh my god.
It would be a shame if somebody lied about being royalty.
Because Serene throws herself in front of Melvin.
Yeah, we can go help your new friend. That's fine. And besides,
Right
we
now?
might find something useful to. Yeah, right now.
Oh, also
Well-
when we get outside, I have some information to share.
Okay.
I'm not
Wait,
ready.
What about the brooch?
Have we got to
We-
return that first?
Return it on the way.
And
Yes, Saray.
Serene, have you drunk too much?
drink too much. Can
I
we
take my
please-
flashback.
Serene like has a vice grip on it.
Oh,
I've
okay,
never,
you can keep
I've
that
never
for
seen
now.
her this way. She looks extremely frustrated.
Can we please just, if we're going into danger, if we're going into danger, can we please just go back to the ship so I can get prepared for danger?
We can do that.
Thank you.
And then she hands the flashback.
I second that.
Any water?
And I'll turn back to I actually don't have
Adelaide.
her name. Adelaide. Thank you.
Adelaide.
And I'll say, we would be honored to accompany you to catalog your father's inventions, though we will need a small amount of time to prepare, as some of my companions need to sober up a little bit and
I need to
fetch a
armor
few
up.
things from our ship.
Sober up has nothing to do with it, Melvin.
She looks a little concerned at the sober up part, but does agree, and then insists to come along with you as you leave
If you
the
would
party.
like to attend us, you may. Of
Aye.
course.
Yeah.
Look at me. I'm hammered. I just look her stern in the eye.
Stern in the eye.
Oh my god.
Totally hammered.
You can't see through her mask, but it almost looks as if she's second guessing her decision.
Serene is like,
I hope she's ugly under the mask.
when she says it, she thinks that she's just thinking it, but she definitely says it out loud.
And
Like,
she does an
okay,
absolute
backpack.
Eowyn moment, just the helm
God
and the
damn
hair.
it!
Oh yeah.
Serene walks
She
into
is
the
not
sea and
ugly.
is never seen again.
Baby.
Oh.
Oh
I'm done
god.
with these land folk.
Cam can come visit you. Bye.
You will be able to get your arms, your armor, prepare as such. And then she will lead you through Dementlia to one of the nicer neighborhoods and the area where actually each estate has its own grounds. Though it is evening here, not depicted in the picture, you see a gorgeous 3-story manse standing there. You can see the gate leading in, an iron gate, very decorative with sort of almost complicated locking system on the front that is, and Eris, looking at it, you're like, I could pick this with some time. This is more just like showing off rather than actual security. Very beautiful, intricate, curved hinge and locking system. But you see that someone has taken a crowbar or something to it and broken the hinges, and some of it's laying on its side. And she says, "Oh my, I think, well, hopefully no one has hired brigands to loot whatever wealth was inside. Well, we better go. You can see ever so slightly glowing in one of the windows, almost like torchlight.
So hold up, look at the roof. It looks like a face.
Ooh.
It does.
Now you've seen it, you'll never unsee it again.
And
Damn it. Roof face.
you then hear a dong ringing out in the distance, indicating 1 o'clock in the morning. The ball will have ended by now, 1 o'clock. Well, whoever did this must not have been there. Brigands and lowlifes.
I've got to do an inside check on her.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
You're allowed to be
I'm fine.
paranoid.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely fine.
It's good.
9.
Then
Let's go in.
And GM, not to derail things, but on our walk over, I would have used the cantrip message to communicate to the rest of the party silently that what I had seen at the dock, the exchange of dust for bodies, to disseminate that information to the party.
I summon my weapon. 1 by 1.
You summon it. All right.
And my neck.
As she opens the door, she says, now, you know that not everything is always as it seems, but my father is a very wealthy man. I come from a very wealthy family, and he was one of the most trusted advisors. So, I just want you to all remember that. And, yeah, is there someone inside? You better go in. And she pushes aside a door that looks like it's been pried open. And inside, you see something very incongruous with the exterior. Roots growing across the floor, the ceiling collapsing in places, cracks in the marble all over the place, ruined furniture. Just the slightest bit of a sitting area in the side is the only habitable place you see in this thing. It's as if you passed through an illusory exterior into the reality of Dementlieu and its citizens.
How many centuries ago did your father die? Look around.
She looks to you indignantly. It was just a week ago.
This isn't right. Melvin, you're the wizard here. What's going on?
Perhaps it looked like this while he lived here.
Likes living inside tree roots and
Please do not
ruin?
judge my honorable late father's.
I'm not judging your father. I'm just this place isn't right.
And as you're kind of talking, you see a sort of large man in maybe studded leather armor appearing up in one of the upper floors. And he says,
Aye! We got claim to this place. Well, really, for all it's worth, you best get out of here before we lose bolts on all you.
and then you hear, what? He kind of looks over and says, what?
No, wait. No, this place, it's ours now. I claimed it. All the wealth is mine.
And you hear this sound as he is pulled back as a black mist and a glowing red aura comes from up above, and he is pulled back, and then suddenly you hear nothing, and a body then tumbles from the 3rd floor, cracking down and landing in front of you. It looks to be completely drained of life, like a husk.
This is a goddamn trap.
You then see another glow from above as what looks to be a black, ghostly hand made up of black, dark, smoke-like fog swirling in a human-like form reaches towards the body down on the floor. It's reaching from about 3 floors up, and you can hear whispers and suddenly you see this incorporeal spirit being pulled out of the husk, which then floats there for a moment before turning around and regarding all of you. As soon as it does, another one comes through a wall, and then another, and then another, and then through the grand portrait at the top of this home, the spectral smoke-like form passes through the painting, and you see glowing a red mask. The only clothing you can see otherwise on this black, smoky, spectral form looking down at all of you. And here we will not begin combat, but we'll pick up next time as the Red Death emerges to claim the Pretenders. So